Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
I'll let you know.
Bet that. Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom Podcast. 'Tis I, Colton Robertson, and this is another very special episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. It is the Star Wars tournament. Round of 32, baby. I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
What up? What up? Glad to be back. Got a lot of good matchups today.
Oh, ton of great matchups, and no better way to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of the Penny Bloom Podcast than recording this right here.
Kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I looked at my Snapchat memories today, and it was like 3 years ago today I was at graduation, but like to me, 2 years ago today, it was the start of the Penny Bloom Podcast. That's what I remembered. I didn't remember that I graduated 3 years ago today. I thought that was fucking funny.
My memory, was also graduation, obviously.
Naturally.
And a year ago was the SpaceX first manned flight.
Oh, yes.
That was a year ago, so pretty cool day today.
Overall solid day.
Pretty cool day.
But yeah, and to celebrate these Star Wars characters we're about to talk about and the 2-year anniversary of the Penny Bloom Pod, I have a package here that I have received. It's a pre-order from 7 or 8 months ago, something like that, when I was doing a bunch of pre-orders for action figures and pop figures. And I know it's a Star Wars character in here. I just don't know what. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to take a guess.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Guess. I'm going to guess it's Mandalorian related.
Mandalorian related, okay.
Judging
there's
that
possibility.
There's the 7 to 8 months ago, though. If you
that's the thing is that like, it doesn't have to be 7 or 8 months ago. It could be as recent as like 4. You know what I'm saying? Like
okay.
I've done pre-orders. Like I've done nothing but pre-orders when I've ordered things. I don't get things as soon as they come out.
Ooh.
So I don't know what's coming out. I don't know when I'm due things. I just know that eventually I will be getting them.
I'm going to still go with Mandalorian related then.
All right.
I feel like that's a good.
I feel like that's fair. My guess is Clone Wars related.
Interesting.
I'm going to open it up though. And we're going to see.
It's going to be Mando and Grogu.
We got ourselves a Funko Pop. Ben Solo.
Oh, there he is.
Ben Solo doing the Han Solo shrug with the lightsaber in his hand.
Yeah. Good old Ben.
All right, cool. I forgot I ordered that. So dope.
The scene.
Luckily, I didn't buy the one at Target the other day.
That would have sucked.
Because
that would have made that a lot less exciting.
I'd have been like, fuck, you're kidding.
Damn, now I got to go return one of these.
Yeah, but dope. I'm glad. Cool. I like Ben. I wish we could have got some more of him, but I like Ben.
Yeah, I mean, that one tweet you did send, or maybe it was Kyler, where he was like, the Prince. Yeah. Like, he had so
Prince
many titles.
Naboo,
he's like the Jon Snow. He's like the Jon Snow of Star Wars.
Ben of House Solo.
And then now just kill him,
Yeah, it's a shame. It's Star Wars, and we're getting into this like realm where it's like, can you really determine how far the bounds of the Force go? Could you bring someone back to life? They could write that in if they wanted. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they will, and I don't think they should, but they could. I mean, look what they've done for Ahsoka.
Imagine the baby between Rey and Kylo, though.
Be a pretty powerful child.
That's a baby.
That's
right
a baby.
There.
That's a baby.
I mean, we don't know what they did. The camera was only on their face. Couldn't really see what was going on down below. There could be the possibility of a Skywalker Palpatine baby.
Well, there's the theory that, when he brought Rey back to life, he literally brought her back to life with life.
Hand was on the tummy.
Hand was on the tummy. But here's the thing. If that's the case, that's a little fucked up.
That is a little fucked up. Hey, I'm gonna bring you back to life and all, but like,
now you have to carry my child. That's a little rapey. That's a little rapey.
That is a little rapey.
I hope. I really hope that's not the route they go.
It's true. We've had incest before, in Star Wars. Luke and Leia. I guess they didn't know, and it was just a smooch, and it was just to get Han jealous at the end of the day.
Exactly. I love it in Return of the Jedi when he's like, "Go on with him." I know, and he's like, "I know that if you guys have that connection, I'm not going to stand in your way." He's like, "It's not like that. I do love him. He's my brother." And Han's like, "Oh shit."
I have a theory that George Lucas was the nice guy in high school, and he lost his girl to the jerk, the Steve Harrington. Like, yeah. And I feel like, he was trying to go with, like, when Leia kissed Luke, like, showing the bad guy, like, like the nice guy, nice guy does not finish last, actually. But then, as the saga continues, it's just like, oh, no, like, the bad guy always wins in the end. So.
Yeah, the cool guy, anyway.
Yeah. He turned good. It's like
absolutely. He was, and that's the thing, is that he was always good. That's been the thing about Han Solo, is that, like, he's always a hesitant hero. Like he wants to be a hero, but he doesn't want anyone to be like, "You're a good guy," though.
That's true. I mean, think about it. Off rip, he was like, "I don't believe in all that Force mumbo jumbo," off, and then now, like, now look at him.
Ancient powers ain't as good as a blaster at your side, kid.
Who can shoot like this? Boy shooting like this, hitting him square in the chest.
It's theories abode.
My theory
that Han Solo was guided by the Force a little bit in that moment, because even he, after he does it, looks down at the blaster like, "What? I can't believe I just did that shit." So, I mean,
is everyone guided by the Force then at the end of the day?
Everyone, that's my thing, is that everyone is guided by the Force in some way, because the Force, it surrounds all things. You know what I'm saying? In the Star Wars universe.
So, did Anakin really kill those children, or the Force killed those children?
Don't come out here excusing Anakin for murdering children.
I don't know. If there needed to be balance, and the Force created Anakin in the first place to bring said balance, and balance included slaughtering children, is that really Anakin's fault? If that's his pure existence, he can't even help it? It's not even free will at that point, is it? Is it?
See, that's what's interesting about the Star Wars universe, is that there's got to be a balance, or else it's not as sweet. It can't be all guided by the Force, and it can't be the Force is completely negligent. You know what I'm saying?
It's not negligent, though.
The way I think of the Force is like, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it. You know what I'm saying?
Wise.
Like, the Force will guide you towards what you need to do. And ultimately, it put Anakin in the position with Palpatine and Mace where he could have let the dark side perish.
But he is the one who made the decision.
Yes. That's how I take it.
Okay. Say it puts Anakin in the decision of, do I kill Maul, do I kill Palpatine, or do I let Palpatine die? This big decision, say he goes with letting Palpatine die. Does the Force auto-correct that decision in the way that it wants to? I don't know. That's interesting.
It's an interesting train of thought, because it's like, if Anakin does allow Mace to strike down Palpatine, who's to say that he doesn't immediately kill Mace? And then we've got like an actual full strength Vader, full body, doing his own thing.
Padme alive,
and not at his side. She won't follow that.
Definitely not.
So
but he's taking the kids.
And we're raising a Sith, Luke and Leia at that point if Palpatine dies.
Oh my gosh, how quickly it could change. because there would be no one to come up to Vader. No one could come up to him. No one.
Not one bit. Because that's the thing, is that like Anakin was so entrenched in the dark side at that point, when Mace was about to kill Palpatine, that it was just like, it was one last step. If he did one more thing, that was that. And I think that he did trust Palpatine so much and did care enough for him that if Mace had killed him right then and there, he would not have responded favorably.
That's true. Because in Anakin's mind, the only way he was going to save and love Padme forever was through Palpatine's teaching him. So like he could not let him die. Like that's why you see
I need him.
That's why you see him go through 500 emotions. Like,
well, that's also what's interesting, is that like in that moment when he yells at Mace, he's like, he must stand trial. He also throws out, and fuck it, I need him. I don't care about anything else. Stop what you're doing. I need him.
Dang, man, dude, after seeing that Revenge of the Sith text, and the detail they went into of like,
here,
was it Dooku? Passage. Was that the Dooku moment?
That was about Dooku, yeah, in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh my!
Let me read that
was the most beautiful way to describe it ever. Like,
no, yeah, let me find that real quick.
Oh,
Tyler sent that, right?
Yes, I need that in my life.
Was that in the Snapchat?
That was in Twitter.
That was in Twitter?
It was in Twitter. Yes, Twitter. I'm looking at her. Just a reminder that the ROTS novelization is just so freaking good. No matter what page you flip to, is the caption. And I need this now.
Phenomenal. Oh, dude, I've read continuously that it's the best book in Star Wars history.
Really?
For some reason, it's not popping up in my DMs. I can see my response to it, but I can't see the text itself, so that's fucking weird.
I shall read it then.
Do it.
The severed head's stare was fixed on something beyond living sight. The desperate plea frozen in place on lips echoed silence. The headless torso collapsed with a slowly fading sigh from the cauterized gape of its trachea, folding forward at the waist as though making something before the power that ripped away his life. The murderer blinked again. Who am I? Was he the slave boy on the desert planet, valued for his astonishing gift with machines? Was he the legendary pod racer, the only human to survive that deadly sport? Was he the unruly, high-spirited, trouble-prone student of a great Jedi master? The star pilot, the hero, the lover, the Jedi? Could he be all these things? Could he be any of them? And still have done what he has done? He is already discovering that answer at the same time that he finally realized that he needed to ask the question. And then the question is cut off. You cannot see what the question is.
Well, here's the thing, is that have you read any of the novelizations of any of the movies?
No, but I want to now.
I've read the Last Jedi novelization, and I've read the Rise of Skywalker novelization because I was old enough to be like, oh shit, yeah, I want to buy those. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But even those enhance the movies so greatly because it's like, obviously while you're watching the movie, you can like interpret to the best of your ability what's going through their head.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the novelization, they give you stuff like that. And like, as you said that in that moment, all that is the moment after he's cut Dooku's head off. Yeah. 1 second after he's cut Dooku's head off is what that whole passage is.
Like Anakin realizing his whole past, like of who he is.
He's realizing who he is, and he's really at a place of, like, I don't actually know who I am. What am I doing?
He's like, why did I do actually that? In this position right now.
Yeah,
from a slave boy to making huge galaxy-wide decisions, of killing somebody. Like the difference, I don't know. The glow up, I guess you could say.
Or one could say. But since we've been talking so much about Anakin, and since we've been talking so much about Darth Vader, I say we start our round of 32 with the first matchup. Darth Vader versus Asajj Ventress. And, I mean, again, just like the first round with Darth Vader and Maz Kanata, you're just not going to fuck with Vader if you're not Luke. If you're not Luke.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Not many people come up to him. Love Ventress's character though. Just
phenomenal.
Just would be like, I don't know. I just see Vader and Ventress as like this power couple. You know, if Anakin could just let Padme go and just be like, Ventress is just my girl. She's a freak. You know, her voice is sexy.
Can you imagine though, like the potentiality of Vader, like we were talking about earlier, with Palpatine potentially having died in Revenge of the Sith, and then Anakin becoming full Vader without going to Mustafar and without getting his shit burnt. You know what I'm saying?
Jeez.
Is there the potential that, you know, he finds a love like that in someone else?
I think so. I think the moment in the Red Office, I don't know if it has an official name, Palpatine's office.
Yeah, Palpatine's office, I get you.
In that moment, the switch that he had, the decision he made, like, that solidified him saying, like, Padme isn't really my number one priority, or she is my number one priority, but like the actual Padme isn't. It's keeping her alive through the dark side of the Force.
Exactly.
Like,
he doesn't care about what she would actually want.
Yes. It's just, I have to do this. There's no other way. You know, she doesn't understand. I don't even fully understand. It's just, I have to do this now. And from that moment on, like, I could see him maybe going with someone else, but only if Padme dies. If Padme is still living, there's no way that he does not stop trying to pursue her. Like,
and I think we even, and it's probably blasphemous for me to have even suggested such a thing, because I mean, she's the entire reason Anakin fell to the dark side. He's not moving on, you know, at any point.
That's true.
Yeah, he's just.
I mean that, but at the same time, Palpatine kept him there. Like, Palpatine was the one who kept him down bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's it. Imagine your only father figure in life is keeping you down bad as much as they can.
Keeping you down.
Damn.
Well, nevertheless, I think Asajj Ventress loses to Darth
I'm glad
Vader.
we got the first matchup done. After 17 minutes, I'm very glad that we got the first one done.
We're done. We're done with the first match of several. So, Darth Vader beats Asajj Ventress.
Rest in peace, Asajj. I love you, girl.
We've got Count Dooku versus Rey Skywalker.
Now, is this as forward as I think it is? It's pretty easy in my mind.
Well, I know it's pretty easy in your mind because you love Count Dooku.
My name right now is Count the Drip Dooku. The boy be dripping constantly. Count Daddy is also another one of his names. He has many names in my heart. I don't know. The boy's just too cold. Rey, they did her dirty. If they would have made her better, I would love her character a lot more.
Yeah, and see, there is credence to the idea that the writing behind Rey is, but
the writing behind Dooku, though, it's just perfection.
The writing behind Dooku is you know great.
What? There is no writing behind him. They told him, they just said, go out there and do what you would do. Okay?
Christopher Lee's a legend. Today's his birthday, actually. It would
chance.
It would have been his 99th birthday today.
Today just keeps getting better.
Just keeps getting better. And have you seen the stuff circulating about Christopher Lee on Twitter the last couple days?
I have not. No way. My boy's trending right now, in a way.
Yeah, he's well, because he was like he personally knew J.R.R. Tolkien, so that's why he was such a big influence on the Lord of the Rings franchise and stuff. He was like an actual consultant. Mm-hmm. His cousin wrote the James Bond movies based on him.
What?
James Bond is based on Count Dooku.
But like, wait. Like real life Not Count Dooku.
No, like, Christopher Lee.
Just Christopher Lee. Like, not just him in life, not the roles he plays.
Just the normal dude, Christopher Lee. The actor, Christopher Lee.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he's a bit of a legend here. I'm trying to find the tweet right now.
Holy crap.
This guy is a god. And I didn't fully realize how awesome he was until... Okay, yeah, here we go. He was an intelligence officer in World War II. He witnessed the last public execution by guillotine in France. Was due to marry Swedish royalty. Step cousin of 007 author Ian Fleming, who based the character off Christopher Lee. Played in a heavy metal band. And was a villain in the James Bond franchise, Lord of the Rings, and Star Wars. Speechless.
Remember when we said...
Christopher Lee's a god.
Do you remember when we said that Luke is the only one to touch Vader?
You think Count Dooku fucks with Vader? Because he's played by Christopher Lee?
I mean, he's the only other person that comes to mind that could go up to him.
You know, prior to yesterday, I would have argued you more on this. And personally, I do like Rey more. I like personally just because of the trilogy being about her. I remember finishing the Rise of Skywalker and being in the theater for the Rise of Skywalker. I went into it thinking like, God damn, I hope she goes bad. I hope she becomes Darkseid Rey. And then by the end of the movie, I was going, holy fuck, please do not be Darkseid Rey. You know, because I cared about her enough. Mm-hmm. And like, so I was like, I like Rey a whole fucking lot. However, in the first round, we had Rey versus Kanan Jarrus. We pushed Rey through. Twitter did not.
Ooh.
Twitter pushed through Kanan Jarrus over Rey Skywalker. And I was like, and see that there's this thing on Star Wars Twitter. Kanan Jarrus is a beloved character amongst Star Wars fans because of his dedication to the Jedi and stuff. I just thought that was mad interesting. And due to that, I'll allow Count Dooku to beat Rey here.
Okay, yeah. Because
I want to make it clear. I want to make it clear that I personally do like Rey. I do like Rey a whole.
I'm not saying that this is a blowout at all. These are two very close characters. Like we see them pretty closely.
Personally, I wouldn't mind pushing through some upsets. Like, or is this even an upset? Did we have them?
It wouldn't be. Rey's 9, Dooku's 8, I believe.
Oh man, we had Dooku seated above him, huh? Yeah. Mm-hmm. She's a 4 and he's a 5. Or right, he's a 4 and she's a 5.
Yeah.
And the bracket.
So I mean they're seated pretty close. You know, that's I'd say that, you know, it's definitely a close fight. But it's just Count Dooku's Count Dooku, and Rey was held back. And no offense to Rebels and, you know, this guy, I'm sure I will love him whenever I watch Rebels, but like he's not beating Count Dooku.
Oh, absolutely not.
So
absolutely not.
So yeah.
So I'm absolutely down with Count Dooku going through the next round. But I do love Rey. That's the last thoughts on it. And plus, I don't mind throwing in a few wrenches here. You know what I'm saying? Throwing stuff out that's like, okay, so should this person probably win? Yeah. Will they here? No.
I'm down with that. There's always got to be one,
just to make the bracket a little more fun.
Yeah.
The bracket a little more fun.
There's got to be at least a couple of those, or maybe one. Yeah. Well.
Okay. We've got another. So,
but we'll
next
know,
round.
Yeah. We'll know whenever it happens.
In the Sweet 16, we will have Darth Vader versus Count Dooku. We already saw who won once.
Ooh, well,
read the passage about it earlier.
Was he Darth Vader yet though?
No, not technically. Not
even. That's even more proving that Vader would just slap Dooku. Well,
I don't know. I think peak Anakin is more powerful than Vader ever was. It's just that Vader.
I don't know.
No, it's Vader just doesn't give as much of a fuck. Anakin held back, you know, because and if he didn't, he was facing droids. Which Palpatine purposely moved droids to make Anakin reach his full potential.
Obviously, Anakin with just a hand replaced is going to be able to do more shit than Vader, with basically fully bionic body at that point.
Yeah.
Like your limbs are bionic, other than one. But the emotion, the sheer force power that he has at that point, it's unlocked. He is unlocked as Vader. Yeah, even though his body is limited, he is unlocked to a point that I think Anakin could have never reached.
I'm with you there. Certainly. It's an interesting balance because I do think Anakin full health has more ability, but like you said, he's just not unhinged the way Darth Vader is.
That's true. Darth Vader just doesn't care.
Not one bit.
Yeah, that's true.
But so next round, Vader versus Dooku. We've got next matchup, Yoda versus Cal Kestis. And if I liked Yoda less, this would be one of those ones where I'd be like, fuck it. But
let's let him through.
Love Yoda.
Yeah.
I fucking love Yoda. Yeah, I can't let that happen.
I could.
Luminous being
I would never let that happen.
Not this cruel matter. Do or do not. There is no try.
And he's also Zeus. He strikes down trees.
That's
a big moment,
about that
by
before.
the way.
We've talked about that.
It's a big moment. Showing that Force Ghosts, maybe not all, but definitely Yoda, who is very powerful, can actually interact with the real world still.
Well,
that boy is still.
We saw glimpses of that, not to the same extent in the original trilogy. With in the first episode, all Luke can do is hear Obi-Wan. In the second episode, he's a little faded, but he can see him. And then in the sixth episode, Obi-Wan is completely interactive with the woods on Dagobah, and sits on logs and stuff. So it's
true.
They've always been able to interact with the real world. That was the first time we saw a Force Ghost use Force abilities on the real world, which is
I guess Obi-Wan never needed to.
We saw Luke in The Rise of Skywalker raise the X-Wing out of the water. So it's I guess that changes the game, knowing that they can come back in any capacity.
They could probably come back to the point to where Luke went out and stood against Kylo's army, if they wanted to.
Probably, potentially, I don't know. See, we could see there's probably.
Think about that. Luke was sitting on a rock across the galaxy at that point.
Yeah.
And he just was like, I'll show Kylo, not me right now because I look really old. Let me just make myself a little younger.
Well, he showed him himself from the last time Kylo would have saw him.
Yeah, which is awesome. Awesome that he could just choose his appearance. He could have shown up as Mace Windu if he wanted. If he wanted to. That's freaking awesome.
He could have shown up as anything because he showed up as a younger version of himself.
What if he came, as Leia, but with the Jedi of we just saw Leia just freaking whoa, just go ham like Luke did, in Matrix.
One of the things I love about that scene, and one of the gripes a lot of people have is that Luke didn't actually fight him. All he does is dodge.
Well, yeah, he didn't actually fight him,
but he couldn't.
That's the whole point.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I agree.
I
prefer all that dodging shit he did. It was so much cooler.
I'm not a fan of the sequels, and this is known. I love them as entertaining movies, but if I think about them, that's when I start to not like them. But honestly, the way Luke went out and this scene, I loved this part. I don't know why, but this is a very decisive, this is a part of the reason why people hate the sequels altogether.
But it's one of the reasons I love them.
Dude, I thought this was awesome.
It's I can understand the gripes with Luke's past, with him thinking about killing Kylo, because it's how would he have ever thought about doing that? I get that perspective, but it's also, I don't like that people have beef with the fact that he didn't want to come fight again. It makes sense for him not to want to fight again.
Yeah, he didn't need to.
He doesn't need to. Yeah, it's just he showed, and that's the Jedi way. He didn't fight him the same way he didn't fight Vader. He's like, I'm going to show you that we can defeat you without killing you.
I'm going to defeat you without even actually being there. So take that.
I think personally, while The Last Jedi catches a lot of shit. It's probably my favorite sequel trilogy movie. Just because, I mean, not only Rian Johnson's a phenomenal director. I mean, the shots in that fucking holy shit.
Very beautiful movie.
Dude, and like that, and that whole ending with, you know, Luke approaching Leia, kissing her on the forehead, Leia in that moment having to realize he's not actually there. Realizing this is it for him. That's a goodbye. She knows that in that moment. He hands her the fake fucking dice. And I love that. I love when Rey shows up and clears up the rocks and she hugs Finn. It's just a glorious ending to that movie. I like it a lot.
You know, and like down to the little details, like they showed on the planet, like the soldiers, you know, and the salt and how it turned red. But then like
moved, it didn't.
Because I remember during the first watch, I was like, Luke's not making any tracks at all. Like
I was thinking, is this man just light as fuck on his feet?
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, is he like levitating right now? Like, is that how he is being as mobile as he is?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You know, as it progressed, I was like, oh,
he's
okay.
not there.
That makes more sense. But like, I remember the first watch. I'm like, they put a lot of detail into this specifically. Like, they would not come to this specific planet if it didn't have this trait. Like, this is very important. You know, I'm like, this is a very important detail, and I don't know why it's important.
Well, and what's awesome is that what persuaded Luke to even do that was Yoda. It was Yoda coming to that temple, burning it, and being like, yo, you need to move the fuck on. you need to help, dude. Come on, think about it for a second. You know you've got to help. And he's like, God damn it, you're fucking right.
Dang it.
That really is one of the best scenes in all of the sequel trilogy, with Yoda and Luke interacting one last time, which I just fucking loved.
Sorry, Cal Kestis, for not really giving you any of the spotlight at all.
We gave him plenty of shine last week. I feel like
we did. You're amongst only a few gingers in the Star Wars universe, which is a cool group to be in.
Memphis Nest. Memphis Nest, another ginger.
Wow, look at that.
Look at that.
The original lady, and she was in the sequels, and she still looks the same somehow, even though she's like way older. The Resistance leader lady, what is her name?
I don't know.
Oh my, the ginger, looks like an angel, just like, you know, dressed in white always.
Are you talking about Mon Mothma?
Mothma, yeah, yes.
Is she in the sequel trilogy?
She is. She played herself, and she still looked the same age. That is what. I'm not joking you.
I did not know she was in the sequel trilogy.
She was the only person in the sequel trilogy that was from the originals that had zero CGI used on her. Like, it was just all her.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, we have Billy D.
That's true.
I'm trying to think. Man, I didn't realize Mon Mothma was in those movies. I heard she was in Rogue One.
Oh, maybe that's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, because why would she be in the sequels?
Almost certainly Rogue One. Because I could have swore.
Yeah, because why would she be in the sequels? Yeah, there's no way she's in the sequels.
Well, I feel like she...
Is she in the sequels?
I don't think she's in the sequels. I'm just trying to think of a point in which she would have died at some point. But I think she helps birth the New Republic.
Whoa.
So maybe she's just more of the political side. Maybe she died on one of those planets that got destroyed by the First Order.
In Rogue One. I type in, was Mon Mothma, and then the first thing pop up is CGI in Rogue One. And it says, no.
Man. It's crazy.
Yeah. She's a beautiful woman.
Lovely
I guess,
woman.
Just blessed with beauty for her whole life.
Lovely woman, that Mon Mothma. But that is why Yoda defeats Cal Kestis.
Yes, of course.
Next up, we got a fun matchup here. I think it's easy, but it's fun nonetheless. Lando Calrissian versus Poe Dameron. And Lando. It's Lando all day. But Poe's a great character. I fucks with Poe. I wish he had a little bit more of an individual arc, you know? He felt like he was supposed to be the Han Solo of this.
He was supposed to die early.
Was he?
Like at the very beginning of the movie. Whenever the plans were the plans were only to escape with BB-8. And Poe was not supposed to live.
In the in The Force Awakens.
At the very beginning. He was supposed to die. He was supposed to die along with his whole village. Yeah. And then they saw the chemistry between like just the actors. You know, they formed friend groups.
Yeah, like John Boyega.
They just hit it off. Like they just hit it off. And they're like, oh, like, because what they were trying to do is they were trying to do the Leia sending the plans off with the droids.
Yeah.
No one survives. It's just the droids. They're, the whole story repeating, but like at the same time, where would the Han character come in? You know, like you still need that Han character if you're going to repeat the story.
Yeah.
Like, and I guess that's how they were like, nah, we need this dude.
Well, that's the thing though, is that I really wish Poe would have gotten a little bit more of an individual arc. I want an animated series post episode 9. That's what I want. I want to see what Finn, Poe, and Rey are doing now, because they're somewhere together probably.
What are they doing?
They're all alive. They all made it out alive. And see, this is the problem that most people probably had at the end of the original trilogy. We're like, I wonder what Luke, Leia, and Han, and Lando, and Chewbacca are all going to do now. Like, what's going on? And that's why the EU was birthed and stuff. And that's why we're going to keep getting stuff surrounding these eras. But it's like, I think they've got to eventually come back to that. Like,
I mean, if I had to take a stab on what the sequel trilogy characters were doing right now, I would say I would want to believe that they would restore Luke's temple, maybe create their own,
Rey and Finn.
Because we've seen the little boy move the broom with his hand, showing that there are, force sensitive beings across the galaxy.
Well, I think that's an important thing in The Force Awakens. I don't think, like, when Snoke goes, "There's been an awakening. Have you felt it?" Yes. Like that whole scene, I don't think that's just about Rey. I think that's there's been, holy shit, the Force has just come back in force, not to go back on that.
Oh, I got the awakening as like Palpatine's back.
Well,
like,
Snoke
awake,
was Palpatine though.
But I think Palpatine wasn't conscious in his own body yet.
Oh, gotcha.
I think he was only capable of being in Snoke. But then oh shit, Papa's awake.
The way I took it is that there's been an awakening across the galaxy.
I like that though. That
would be why Finn lays down his blaster, why all those stormtroopers with Janna would lay down their blaster. That'd be why that kid all of a sudden has the Force. That would be it's just that people have all of a sudden been gifted. You know what I'm saying?
Why do you think that is?
I think it was just I don't know, maybe.
Was it Luke cutting himself off of the Force that caused such an imbalance? Because he's a big part of it. Maybe him shutting himself off gave, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know what the reason would be there. Maybe it's
because that's true. Finn putting down his blaster, these are things that the Force probably influenced to happen in a way.
Well, that's
definitely.
Janna says in The Rise of Skywalker that her whole battalion, all at the same time, were just fuck this, we're not doing this. They all put down their blasters. So it's I got to think that the Force awakened on a grand scale, and Rey and Finn are going to have younglings to teach. There's plenty of them. I got to think.
I mean, that's true. I mean, it could just be an easy way of saying there's a lot of good in the galaxy, and this is just a good way to start our story.
Yeah.
But obviously, we're going to go more deeper into it. But I like that though. It would be pretty cool to see, but I don't know if the timeline links up with Luke cutting himself off from the Force. I don't know when he did that. Because it was definitely post Kylo, but
I think it's probably been as long as he was on Octu, and I think he says he's been there for a couple years. So I don't know. We'll see. But like in post episode 9, it could give us a lot of opportunity to explore, like side adventures with like Poe and Zori Bliss from The Rise of Skywalker, who he had like some sort of love connection with. Like if we could get like that, Finn and Poe in the Jedi Temple, Lando and Janna looking for her family, like they teased at the end of Rise of Skywalker, which I don't know if that's what the Lando series is going to be about, or if that's Donald Glover's Lando. They still haven't made that clear. So it's like,
well, I hope it's Donald Glover.
I hope I'd like to get that era. I'd like to get that era a lot. And if we do get that era, though, what I would hope for in general is kind of a continuation of the Solo story. Kind of like make that the Solo 2, but it's about Lando.
I like that. Yeah, I think Star Wars is realizing, or Disney is realizing, that TV shows are like the way to go right now.
Oh, absolutely.
TV shows are just working. Like, they're making so much money. They're being watched they're breaking record. Like, every show is consecutively breaking the previous's record.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, and we're due to get so many series. I mean, Ahsoka, Book of Boba. We're gonna keep getting The Mandalorian, Star Wars Visions, the anime series that's bouncing around stories. A droid story is coming eventually surrounding C-3PO and R2-D2. Like, we've just got a shit ton of stuff on the horizon. We got like fucking then in the movie game we got Rogue Squadron coming out, and not next year but the year after, I think. And then Taika Waititi's Star Wars film is down the road. Like, there is so much stuff that they've already announced that is already planned. And what I've found encouraging is the only thing that's been scrapped is Rangers of the New Republic. And frankly, if you're going to scrap anything out of that entire list, I'd prefer you scrapped Rangers of the New Republic. So it's true. If there's anything we're going to lose, I'm glad it's that. I hope we don't lose much more.
So do you think, let's see, with the timeline, the IRL timeline is we have the original movies in the 70s, starting from the 70s.
Yeah. We
have the prequels starting in the 2000s.
Well, starting in 99.
Well, yeah, I guess. I'd say I grew myself with a 1999 baby, so
there you go.
I'm a 2000 baby, but like,
I get it. I get it.
Whatever. That's
you were
a whole
born in the 90s,
argument.
but you're actual 2000 child.
Yeah. But if we were to get a new trilogy, where do you think it would be placed in the Star Wars timeline? Would it be pre-prequel, somewhere in between, or post-sequel?
Well, here's what's interesting to me is the announcement of Rogue Squadron. Because Rogue Squadron is Luke Skywalker's squadron in the original trilogy. So it's like, is this following the Rogue Squadron post-Episode 6? Like, this is the New Republic Rogue Squadron? Or is this like in between Episode 4 and 5? Is this between 5 and 6? Like, they can fill in any of these gaps if they want with films.
That's true. I mean, we're getting Bad Batch, we're getting Mando, we're getting everything in between.
Exactly.
Just because there is so much. Honestly, it doesn't even really. It's not even really worth guessing where it's going to be, because they can just go anywhere they want.
But it is important to ask, like, if you do get a trilogy, where would it go? Because you can't throw a trilogy in the middle of this timeline.
That's true.
You got to. It would either be. I think if they're going to do another trilogy, they're washing their hands of this era completely, and they either go hundreds of years before or hundreds of years after. Like,
imagine we get the original trilogy, but we just see it from the perspective of Palpatine. Imagine we just get the flip side.
That'd be wild.
Like, the norm is the Sith, and then like you only see a little bit of the Jedi, like whenever they encounter each other or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. It's like
like they could do anything. That's the thing. Like, if they made a trilogy that was within the timeline that we have right now, I still think they could do it.
Oh, I still don't think too. I think like in a good way they could do that is continue the Rogue One story. So maybe that's what Rogue Squadron is. maybe Rogue One is the first installment. The second episode takes place in between 4 and 5, and the third of that trilogy would take place between 5 and 6 because Rogue One took place between 3 and 4. So if they wanted,
that made too much sense. That right there, it made too much sense, and it sounds real.
Yeah, like that, and like it's something they could do feasibly. It's not something totally irrational, especially with Mark Hamill having already returned to the role of Luke Skywalker after they officially announced the Skywalker saga was done.
And we have a Sebastian Wren, like the dude. He's right there, Disney. Like, come on, man.
He's a phenomenal actor too.
You're already working with him. Like, be like, hey, dude, you're it right now. All right, all the girls love you. It's a win-win.
Yeah, it's interesting because that does, if the Rogue Squadron movie does, however, take place between 4 and 5, why would Luke Skywalker not be around? You know what I'm saying? Because he is a part of that squadron. He blows up the Death Star.
He's going to be around.
Yeah, exactly.
He has to be around. I'd say if they're going to go with Sebastian Wren, is it Wren?
Stan.
I knew I was getting it wrong, and I don't know why. But
well, I didn't correct you the first time because I thought you were hung up on Kylo Ren. And then you said it again, so I'll help you out. Sebastian Stan.
Like, I still think Mark Hamill is on set. He is like basically the master, teaching. Like, I don't think Mark Hamill will let his character I don't know. I think he would let him give it his best shot, but I don't think that movie's being filmed without Mark Hamill on set.
Well, that's the thing, is that if you ever involve Mark Hamill in this shit, I love his appearance in The Mandalorian, but I don't want to watch a whole movie of Luke Skywalker like that. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
He, while I do love it, his face was a little stiff. It wasn't terrible, but it was I can tell this is CGI. And even with Tarkin and Rogue One, I feel like they did better. Maybe that's just because of movie, TV show.
They had a lot more time.
Yeah.
They had a lot
I got to guess that's probably the reason, but it's I don't know. If you bring Luke Skywalker back, I don't see any reason not to in an animated capacity with Mark Hamill as the voice. Yeah, you can't go wrong there, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
He is a fantastic voice actor.
Exactly. There's no reason not to. I can't believe it hasn't already been done. That's usually what Mark Hamill does, is voice acting.
Man, I don't know. Maybe he's say too expensive for a regular show. Just say they're just going to have a regular animated show like the Clone Wars, but in the original movie timeline, let's say.
Okay.
I think Mark Hamill would that's too much. I don't know. That's a lot of lines.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't get Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is that they would have to get other voice actors around them, because Harrison Ford is absolutely not voicing Han Solo. That's not for an animated project. Absolutely fucking not.
That's true.
But there are these voice actors who have popped up throughout the universe to supplement those characters, like Stephen Stanton, the guy who voices Tarkin in The Bad Batch. He played old Obi-Wan Kenobi, old Ben Kenobi, in Rebels for an episode, and he sounded exactly like Alec Guinness.
Wow.
It was spot on, fucking perfect. So it's you have those people who have the ability to replicate any voice you throw at them. You know,
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
It's just it's interesting. I would like to get post episode 6 stuff, and that Jedi Temple. Tell me, a children's cartoon about younglings at Luke's Jedi Temple isn't perfect, with Grogu and Luke, young Ben Solo, all these other kids. It's perfect. There's no reason not to do it. It's a gold mine.
I just want to see how Luke teaches. I feel obviously the roster, the lineup that Luke got, that Luke has, is pretty badass. But I just want to see how he goes about it.
Yeah.
Because there's no, you go to school to become a teacher, but in this, you just kind of wing it.
Well, there's also the fact that it wouldn't just be Grogu and Ben Solo there. There's another child.
So many.
There's another child born from a Jedi that's canon that is alive after episode 6. It's Hera Syndulla and Kanan Jarrus' son. He's got to be a Force sensitive. Send him to Luke. There's another character for you. Jason Syndulla or whatever. Like, it's like...
Okay, do you think that they introduced us to this Force sensitive beacon in The Mandalorian for a reason? I feel like we are seeing that thing again. I don't know.
That is interesting because it's like, that can't be the only one, I don't think.
My theory is that that's how the Knight of Ren are involved. Because like we didn't get to see really any of them. And I think Luke used it. If Luke sits there, he could be like, oh shit, like Grogu, I know you're there. I know, this Jedi's here, sort of thing. Like Luke is powerful enough to be like, I can pinpoint any Force sensitive being right now, like with this thing, I would say.
Yeah, probably.
But at the same time, Luke using it allows Kylo to be like, Luke's using it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, he's right here if we want to go get him.
Well, that would be a really good opportunity to use that as the way he builds his Jedi temple.
How else is Luke going to find, like, they had the what's it called? Holocron?
Yeah. Oh, and maybe that's how Ahsoka knows it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Is Luke reaching out through there.
That's true. How would Ahsoka know about that? I mean, okay, what is really the holocron, though? The holocron was something created by a Jedi that put a list of Jedi names inside of it? Like, or what?
There's multiple holocrons. So
okay.
There is a holocron with...
there's not like the holocron?
What's that?
There's not like the holocron.
I don't know. Like, I know that there was one in the Clone Wars that like was extremely important because it had all the Jedi, or maybe that was in Rebels. I can't remember, but there's a holocron that has all the remaining Jedi's names in it.
It's in the game.
Fallen Order. That's right.
But it's in other things as well. But I remember the one in Fallen Order. Someone created a long time ago, I think.
And it just like updates itself?
But that's the thing. Maybe a long time ago, I mean like 10 years.
Gotcha.
Or something like that. But like still like in 10 years, a lot can change.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just, I guess we'll learn more about it as it comes, but that would be a really cool way to get Luke back in the story. But this all started with us discussing Lando Calrissian versus Poe Dameron and the potentialities for stories with them in the future.
Wow.
Lando Calrissian defeats Poe Dameron. I do hope, as you saw by that whole conversation, that they can do any number of things with these characters. You know what I'm saying? So
that's very true.
I hope we see Poe Dameron again, and we know we'll see Lando again. So I'm excited about that. So next round we'll have Yoda versus Lando Calrissian, and Darth Vader versus Count Dooku. We have finished 4 matchups in 50 minutes.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Next up, Leia Organa versus General Grievous. It's Leia no contest for me. I love Grievous, and we talked about Grievous quite a bit last week regarding like just the visual effects involving him, his iconic moments, just the fucking lightsaber spinning at you at 18,000 RPM.
Another for my collection.
The collector.
The memes, yeah. Him diving in the water after the Kylo yeets his lightsaber or whatever.
Outstanding. But Leia's Leia.
Leia is Leia, and we didn't even get the cool part of Leia. Think about that.
Yeah, we didn't get the Jedi Leia yet. We haven't.
Leia decided.
You know what we could get if we got an animated series between 6 and 7.
That's true.
Is a Jedi.
But at the same time, like, yes, Luke trained Leia, but that's only if she ever needed it.
Yeah.
Like Luke trained Leia, and then Leia was like, "I'm done. Like,
yeah,
I don't need this. I have a family, or I'm going to have a family. Like, this cannot be my life if I'm going to have a family. even though it's one of the most dysfunctional families in the universe, maybe.
Kind of bullshit that it was, too. I mean, I hate I hope that Han and Leia split after Kylo fell.
It just doesn't really make sense.
That has to be the case, because I can't imagine them not being together as young Ben Solo was around. You know what I'm saying? Maybe when they send him off to the Jedi Temple, that's when things kind of start to fall apart. That's what they kind of said in The Force Awakens, was like, we should have never sent him. Like, we shouldn't have done that. And Leia was kind of like, you can't say that. Like, we did what we did, and it happened. There's nobody we could have trusted more with our child than Luke, you know? It just it happened because it was supposed to happen, is ultimately like what Leia's outlook was.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, Leia, that's a big sacrifice to make. You know, having this innate ability to be a powerful Jedi and then being like, no, I don't need it. She could have been an even cooler resistance leader. You know, like, imagine Leia going out as a Jedi.
Leia Organa, like it's the day of the Clone Wars. Oh. You know what I'm saying?
Oh. Do you think this was always this was how it was going to happen? Or like, is this a sequel? Like, let's give Leia, you know, as she is passed away in real life, let's give her this really cool ass backstory, like as a memorial sort of thing.
I think probably that's inserted because they need more footage. Like, they needed stuff to fill in for Leia's story a little bit, you know. And getting her daughter to come in and do that. And she was also Lieutenant Connix in the sequel trilogy. She was Billy Lord was throughout the sequel trilogy, but you know, to get her to play Leia as Jedi Leia is fucking cool. Like, that's just straight up fucking awesome in my opinion. And that had to have been such a cathartic experience, I gotta think. Like, to step into the role that your mother like made iconic. It's gotta be something special, I gotta think. I mean, just thinking about it, actually. Like,
that scene was so sad, by the way. Like, just any Leia scene was so sad. Like, oh my God. Like, it was just, especially her last moment with Kylo. You just get the overwhelming sense of like motherly love. Like, not a single word was spoken. Was there? Or no? She made Han appear. She made Han appear.
I don't think she made Han appear.
What you mean?
I think that moment is Ben and Kylo wrestling with his own conscience. You know, like it is. He says, "I don't think it's a Force thing at all." Because here's the thing. I think Leia jimmied the door open, you know, and there was enough light let in by Ben for him to wrestle with his conscience a little bit. And the way that this came about was the image of Han Solo in his head, you know, and then him working through that on his own. I like to think that that's what it was, instead of Leia legitimately talking him back into it. It's like Vader back when Luke was getting shot.
Even more
he had to make the choice.
Like, okay, I think what happened, this is my takeaway from it.
Gotcha.
Is that Ben was a real daddy's boy. Like, he's just a dad's boy through and through. We see that, you know, whenever he's about to kill Han, I think I don't know, it just seemed more painful for him to kill Han than it was to see Leia die, or him think that Leia died.
He couldn't even bring himself to kill Leia.
That's
he had
true.
That opportunity.
That's true, but like, it just seemed, I don't know, it seemed more painful for him to kill Kylo. For one, because he actually had to do it, I guess. That could be a big part of it. Or kill Han. But I think it's just how Luke went out. Luke went out using so much of the Force that it ended up killing his human body.
Yeah.
Leia the same. I think it's just, you know, poetic. I think she knew the only way I'm going to get through to Kylo in this moment right now is with Han But at the same time, Kylo knew that was Leia's last, like, hurrah.
That
like,
was her last action.
Leia made Kylo know, like, hey, you killed your father. This is obviously not your father. This is me. Like, me and your father are talking to you right now, basically. Like, you're getting a pep talk from mom and pop. And I think that is just what was like, oh my God, like, holy shit.
I could see that. I could see that for sure. I just like the idea that Leia's last sacrifice really, really just like knocked him on his ass enough to go, oh, fuck. And then I like the idea that Ben did it on his own, and less so that Leia not manipulated him, but like just made a fake vision of his father appear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I guess Kylo could have sensed Leia's death, and maybe that was like, oh my God, like she wasn't dead this whole time, you know, like, and I thought she was. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We could speculate all we want, but maybe we'd learn more if I remembered what it said in the Rise of Skywalker novelization. But
I got to read those books now, man. I got to read all the books.
I got to read all the books too. I'm excited now. But yeah, that means we've talked about it. Leia definitely beats General Grievous. Just a far more compelling character. Grievous is dope, but come on. Next up, this is a fun one. Ahsoka Tano versus Mace Windu. For me, easy money. Ahsoka Tano. But I love me some Mace Windu. And here's my thing too. I don't want to base this on anything, but I think the matchup next round's a lot more fun if it's Leia versus Ahsoka than Leia versus Mace. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, that's fair. I didn't think about it that way. That is a good point. That is a good way to think about it, though. Because I'm kind of torn between the two, but then when you put it like that, does Mace really deserve to go up against Leia, or does Ahsoka deserve to go up against Leia?
Here's my thing. Mace stands no chance. I could hear an argument for Ahsoka against Leia, though. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. And that does matter, because if you can hear an argument for Ahsoka against Leia, you can definitely hear the argument of Ahsoka versus Mace Windu. Like
exactly.
The transitive property, by the transitive property.
Yeah, and we talked about Ahsoka a whole lot last week too. We talked about it in the Patreon special for the prep of this show, the seeding. Just her development throughout the Clone Wars was something special, and it was I look forward to anything else we get from her and everything in between, her and Rebels, her and The Mandalorian, her and Ahsoka, just all this. I'm so excited to see what's to come. But yeah,
and
for me,
she's just the embodiment of the viewer in the show. She says a lot of the things that the viewer is thinking. Like wait a minute, like, are you guys really that blind? Like, you're not seeing the hypocrisy right here? Or like she steps in a lot. She's like, wait a minute, like, hold on. She does that a lot. And it's like, she just connects with the audience so well. Like,
she's a free thinker. That's another thing that makes her compelling, is that she was able to look at what the Jedi do and go, I've been growing up in this. However, I'm not exactly on board. And like, to even have that wherewithal and that willpower and that ability to think for yourself when you are literally being indoctrinated from birth, practically.
That is very interesting, because we've only seen Jedi either die or go to the dark side. That's the only two options we've ever seen happen to a Jedi. We've never seen a Jedi be like, oh, this group that I'm in, that I've literally studied my whole life and like made a religion out of, I'm going to go against them now. Like,
well, and the thing is that Ahsoka doesn't even go against them. She's just her own thing now.
That's true.
She just leaves the Jedi Order.
But
so
you would never think
Jedi.
You would never think of a character going against the Jedi. Like,
exactly.
it just wouldn't cross your mind. Like, if you didn't have Ahsoka leaving, like, I don't think I would have ever been like, ooh, a character that leaves the Jedi Order is a pretty cool idea. Like, I don't know. I just would never think.
I wouldn't have thought of it. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just, Like we've seen them fall to the dark side, but we've never seen them just leave.
She's sort of a gray Jedi in a way.
In a way, I see what you mean. I see she's got some more Qui-Gon in her than.
I think Ahsoka's the closest to a gray Jedi that we will get. Maybe Luke. Future Luke. But I really don't think I really don't think they want to touch it. I don't think
they're ever going to fuck with the terminology gray Jedi. That's just not something they'll ever do. It's just going to be like, up for y'all's interpretation. They have the Force, but they don't follow the Jedi Order. You can call them a Jedi, though, because that's how we're going to identify people who are Force sensitive.
I'd say the closest person in the Star Wars universe that is the closest to a gray Jedi is probably Din. If you give Din Jedi abilities, he is a gray Jedi. Basically, a space Batman is a gray Jedi.
Yeah, you're pretty much on point.
It's basically just, they have a code. That's it. They're just
Qui-Gon a little bit. You got Qui-Gon a little bit of a gray Jedi.
That's
a
true.
Little bit.
I'd say he's like 80 Jedi, 20 gray.
Well, see, and that's the reason that that gray Jedi just doesn't make sense to me, is because the Jedi are the Jedi. They have their values. If they're a gray Jedi, then they're not a Jedi. Like they deviated from the Jedi values.
I guess in a way, but then there's Mace Windu, who tapped into the dark side. I don't.
See, that's never been confirmed either.
I know. Like, do we really even know that? Like, see,
that's the thing, is that like people like to say, because it's the mix of red and blue makes purple. It makes sense.
Is it really, or
I don't think he's tapping into the dark side at all?
Because that just goes against his character.
Exactly. That's why I've never understood it. That's why I've never understood that. And it's a cool idea, and I'm sure there are characters who have done that. Like, it'd be cool to do that with like a Darth Revan, because he was both a Jedi and a Sith at one point, so it would make sense for him to be able to tap into the dark side, maybe post being a Sith. Like, it's just, and that's another thing, is that I don't think a Jedi would be able to tap into the dark side without having before fully fallen into the dark side. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. It'd be very easy to get lost.
Exactly.
And I guess that it could be even cooler, seeing like Mace is strong enough to hold back.
That's true.
That
would make sense. That would hold to his character.
You'd have to be one of the best Jedi.
Period.
To hold back. Because like, it's probably so tempting. Like, it's probably like, oh my God, I have so much more power at my disposal, but I'm going to choose to just ignore it.
Well, that's what's interesting, is that like, I don't think you can be a Jedi and tap into, I just don't think it's possible, because once you do that, like, then you are acting on your emotions. That's like basically all the Sith is acting on your emotions a little bit more. So, and that's exactly what the Jedi teach you not to do.
Stop the Sith. If it'd be different if they were doing it, against, I don't know, anything other than a Sith. If they were using Sith power to defeat, but if you're going up against a Sith, why not even the playing field a little bit? Like it just kind of makes logical sense.
I get where you're coming from. However, I don't think Mace Windu ever did it. I personally,
that's true.
I
don't think so either. But in itself, it is a cool concept, because
100%.
You have to be such a Jedi to hold back that power. But at the same time, if you're that much of a Jedi, you probably wouldn't even think about doing it in the first place.
Yeah, so it would be cool to get that at some point. I just don't think it can have anything to do with the Jedi Order. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, Mace Windu's lightsaber is purple. It's purple because he wanted it to be purple.
Exactly.
He told George Lucas, I want it to be purple. And that's George was like, it's for the kids. Okay. Everything doesn't have to have a reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
This will look cool on toys.
Yeah. And Samuel L. Jackson can be, that's me. I'm that one, in the crowd of 500.
I'm with you. But yes, that makes Ahsoka Tano move on over Mace Windu, which means we'll have Darth Vader versus Dooku, Yoda versus Lando, and Leia versus Ahsoka in the next round, which that's just a lineup of some fucking great matchups, in my opinion. Next match, we've got Han Solo versus Finn. We talked about Finn a whole lot last week, a whole lot on the Patreon special.
the potential was there. It was never executed with. But with Han, it's just Han.
It's Han.
It's what you wanted. It's what you want in a character. He's freaking cool. He's badass. He's slick. He's sly.
And let's not forget Han and Finn interacting in The Force Awakens pretty much throughout the whole movie. They got to spend some time together, which you don't like. You see Han Solo and Finn's names next to each other, and you don't think they were together ever, but they were a big part of The Force Awakens together. You know,
that's true.
Han making fun of him for being like, "Oh, big deal. You're a big deal in the Resistance, huh?" I love that scene in The Force Awakens whenever they're like, You're Han Solo, the smuggler. And he's like, "No, that's Han Solo, the fucking rebellion general." And he's like, "Well, yeah, I'm fucking both, actually."
Yeah.
he's like, actually, I'm that fucking guy. So
I'm that dude.
You're the one who did the Kessel Run in 14 parsecs. 12.
Yeah, 12. Every Star Wars fan knows that.
14.
Yeah.
And then it's true. All of it. Bro, I love that scene every time. Yeah, I knew Luke.
That's pretty, I mean, hey, that's badass to say. You were with the dude who blew up the Death Star.
Redeemed Vader and had a big hand in killing Palpatine.
People don't know that, though.
Yeah.
People don't know that.
Yeah.
And they don't know the significance.
Yeah.
But, like, Luke is the most well-known name.
He's a myth, practically. Like, he's like...
It's so unfathomable that people don't think he's even real.
What are the odds? What are the odds this guy who can make shit move with his mind is named Skywalker?
And what are the odds that the thing that blew up planets was taken out by one guy? Yeah, sure.
One guy with one shot.
With one shot that somehow went down a ventilation shaft, and ventilation shafts are usually pushing out. You know, somehow a ventilation shaft that leads right to the core. I mean, obviously that was placed there by the creator. But I mean, that's not how ventilation shafts work in the vacuum of space. It doesn't really make sense.
He constructed it with the purpose of it blowing up one day, so we'll say it makes sense.
True. But, like, think about that. Like, a dude in an X-Wing that turned off his computer and was like, "I'm gonna freehand this bitch."
Use the Force.
Use the Force, Luke. Man.
And he's like, "What the fuck?
What is going on?"
He's like, why Luke didn't crash his X-Wing in that moment is beyond me. He watched this dude die. He watched this dude fade into nothingness earlier in the movie, and then he hears his voice while he's piloting. I'd freak the fuck out.
Oh, like you get the lightsaber, and you're like, I get how they can make a lightsaber, but maybe he's still lying to me about all the moving shit, and like, I don't know if I believe that. But then use the Force. Oh, you know, I jerk out. You know, I
use the Force, Luke.
That'd be pretty scary.
Did you watch the Star Wars Holiday Special, the Lego one that came out last year? I watched it because I was a sucker for this shit around Christmas time. And there's this part where the general idea is that like there's like this time holocron type thing that Rey has found, and so she's falling through the generations of Star Wars. You know, she pops up in Luke's X-wing during that run right there, and she like Ben's voice comes over. He's like, "Use the Force, Luke," but Luke's too distracted by the fact that Rey's sitting in his fucking lap. he's like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" And Rey's like, "You listen to your master. Use the Force." And then he uses it, and she shoots, and then she falls through another time period. She sees Obi-Wan versus Anakin in the lava. It's actually a lot of fun watching her fall through all this. She goes like through Hoth at one point while Darth Vader is
that's dope.
Like making landfall and stuff. It's a lot of fun, but yeah, it's just a great little tidbit. But Han Solo does beat Finn. I think it's pretty easy because I mean he's Han. You know, Han's Han. You're not going to fuck with Han.
That dude.
That guy.
I mean, he was the most wanted man in the galaxy at one point. I mean, that dude was wanted by everyone.
Wanted by Jabba the Hutt at that. Like,
dude, that's the worst guy to be. Well, be wanted by Vader, I would say, is the worst. In a way, he kind of was wanted by Vader, though. Vader let his freezing, happen,
especially
Vader was
after Episode 4, Han Solo is the one who knocked Vader out of that. Han Solo is the one who saved Luke and gave him the ability to shoot that fucking shot into the Death Star.
That's true.
He shot Vader, knocked him off course.
Can we talk about Vader in Sky City?
The original plan for that, before they were like, okay, let's make this a fucking trilogy, was Vader died. That's it. That's that.
Damn.
That was the original idea. And they were like, okay, we can really do something. This made a lot of money,
Okay, this is one thing that I've never spoken to anybody about, and I can't believe we haven't had this conversation. Vader in Sky City, whenever he's hiding in that dinner hall, whatever, they open the door, holy shit, it's Vader, right? Han immediately is like, I don't know who this dude is, but he's bad, right? So he's immediately shooting at him, which is just hilarious. Like,
I forget the fact that Han hasn't straight up met Vader face to face at this point.
So, for one, dude just knows he's evil instantly, shooting at him. Vader puts out his hand, his robotic hand, to block the shot. Just absorbs the shot with his hand. And we just take that as like, yep, that happened.
Well, he also does the thing where he moves it.
Yeah.
He moves the blaster bolt and it hits far above his right shoulder too. They were showing you're not going to fucking touch this man. Just
the sheer instantaneous shot of Han cracks me up. Every time I watch it, I laugh because of how fast Han goes to shoot Vader.
Yeah. He's no questions asked.
Door open. I see tall, dark figure, look evil. Boom. That was instinctual. And then Vader having the instinct of just going, he's done that before. Vader has done that before. That's not the first time Vader has done that.
Exactly.
I don't know. I can't believe that scene never comes up in conversation. I just think it's hilarious.
This next one, tough.
Upset alert.
Upset alert. Here's the thing.
Upset.
This is the first matchup, I think, where the argument, we've got a matchup between a classic, an iconic character, and then a new age character, modern day, who has already jumped out to something of a, I don't know, a high level in the fandom though. People love this guy. So C-3PO versus Din Djarin. We've got 3PO at a 3 seed, and we've got Din Djarin at a 6 seed.
The thing is, the iconicness of 3PO doesn't carry him past the character arc, the story, everything that Din is. It doesn't carry him that far.
No, it doesn't. It carries him. It carries him a great deal. That is why 3PO is as high as he is, because we've talked about it. 3PO is a little bit of an annoying piece of shit. He's a little bit of an asshole. Is a little bothersome, but you love him because he's C-3PO. You love him because he's in Star Wars.
One of the only scenes I did shed a tear in was when 3PO was saying, "Let me get one last good look at my friends before I go."
I love that scene where he recites what Poe said earlier in the movie, where he's like, if I don't do this, we lose everything. After all this time, all we've done.
I actually cried, and I didn't realize I had that much attachment to 3PO. I've always been an R2 guy. I would.
Me too. I've gone on record being 3PO is my least favorite Star Wars character.
Obviously R2 and 3PO are the package deal, but if someone told me I had to pick one, without hesitation, I'm going with R2. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just, I'm sorry, 3PO, but
it's that attachment to R2 from when we were young. We loved R2-D2 because holy shit, that thing's my size. He's cute.
That's true. Grogu finds him cute. The little ball that he has the little blue circle on it. Grogu and R2 be knowing each other, and I know that is factual. Grogu and R2 have seen each other before, and
they saw each other back at the temple back in the day. Padme Amidala and R2-D2 have rolled past Grogu one or two times, I'm going to say.
It's interesting that Luke didn't hold on to him, though, and let him go. Somehow. Grogu, he had to have been with someone. The dude cannot survive on his own. He's a little boy.
The thing is that, like, it's confusing because we still don't know who was holding him. Like, at the beginning of The Mandalorian, we don't, like, he was just in a random fucking room. How long's he been there?
He's already 50 years old. That's 50 years that dude has been alive.
Well, and if he got saved from the temple when Anakin was fucking shit up, he's been on his own for 20.
That's true.
27 years.
If you're at the temple, I mean, they might have, like, surrogate mothers sort of situation. Like, there has to be someone that takes care of him, though. I don't know. Like, maybe now, we see him hunt and get food on his own, so he can obviously survive. But, like...
Well, he was clearly taken from the temple by somebody. That's ultimately what we're saying, is somebody took him from the temple. It's just a matter of what they did with him after, That location's significant.
Why was he left there?
That's the thing.
It seemed like he was left there in a hurry. Like, he was not supposed to be left there. Like, someone had him. This was a prized possession. Grogu was like, obviously, like, this is like a kid. Whether it was a kid to them or just a bounty or whatever.
Yeah.
But then, like, it was left in a hurry and guarded somehow.
Yeah.
So somehow the location of Grogu was known and decided to be guarded by this race of people that just live there to guard him.
Yeah, it's something. But that scene, that first episode, that's what gives us our first look at Din Djarin. And that's when you realize, okay, this guy's here to fuck shit up. I am excited to watch this guy. And that ending, when he opens the pod and he sees Grogu for the first time, Baby Yoda at the time. Dude, the first time I watched this shit, I remember just going, what? What? And then, like, obviously, first time I'm watching it, I go, is that Yoda? Like, I'm thinking, like, when is this in the timeline? What am I doing here? And then I'm like, no, this is after Return of the Jedi. This is a new kid. Is it? I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. Let's get into it, baby. And, like, that's why that was,
I don't know,
more so than anything in the sequel trilogy, was the most exciting scene in modern day Star Wars for me.
Oh,
like,
I mean,
originally. Until Luke Skywalker shows up at the end of The Mandalorian. You know
from the first sight of Grogu that you are watching an iconic character. Like, already. Mm-hmm. It's just you already know. You already know that this character is going to be the biggest character in Star Wars for the next foreseeable future. For however many years. Like,
well, that's the thing. Have you thought about the fact that there are High Republic comic books and stuff with Yoda as a character 400, 500 years in the past? We could go 400, 500 years in the future, and Grogu can be a part of those stories as a grown-up. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's exciting. The fact that we have that, we are introduced to a character at such a young age, I pray
they don't kill him.
They don't kill him. And I don't think they will. But, like, we're going to, like, if we're seeing this young of a character who has the longevity to live to 950, to 1,000, why aren't they using him as the branch to a future story?
Like, as Grogu is the seeds for phase 1 through 75?
Pretty much.
If they wanted to?
Pretty much. Like, if they wanted to jump forward in the timeline randomly, 500 years, 600 years, to just tell a brand new Star Wars story, and you need a link, there it is. Grogu.
Think about what the Jedi even are in 500 years.
That's the thing. I don't like, are the Jedi...
The Jedi are already spoken of as myth. Already.
It's really up to Rey right now. Like, that's what it comes down to, is that, like, whatever Rey chooses to do after Episode 9 is what determines the future of the Jedi.
Ooh, I see some conflict. I think I see why they made her name Skywalker now. She's going to teach younglings as a Skywalker. One of them will figure out that she's a Palpatine.
Oh, and try to...
And this person will turn try to turn the rest of the Jedi Temple against them. Like, hey, this person's a Palpatine.
She's lied to us our whole life.
Like, can you imagine? Yeah, like, she's a Palpatine. Like, and all that we know of Palpatines is that they lie, and that's all they do. Like,
see, that would be something Rey would have to get out ahead of as a Temple leader. She'd have to say, okay, here's the thing, guys. I go by Rey Skywalker, but I'm going to tell you the truth right now. My grandpa was the Emperor of the Galaxy for 20 years.
Is that something you tell younglings the first day, though?
Not first day. That's something you ease them into. But it's also like the fact that thought process you were talking about, like her lying to me, that doesn't happen until you're like 15. I got to think. I think that's got to be like teenagers who are like, oh shit, I finally put this together. You know what I'm saying?
Or, I mean, you got to think. Rey could completely change the way the Jedi work. Instead of taking children, and just from birth, telling them this is the way it is. Maybe, you still take kids at a young age just to teach them enough, but maybe it's not like you cannot form relations. Maybe they get rid of all of the rules. More of like a Protestant Jedi, I guess, in a way.
Well, like, that's the thing is that like there's that line from Rose Tico in episode 8 where she's like, that's how we win. Not fighting what we hate, saving what we love. And I think that's something the Jedi should actually embody. We shouldn't be fighting. We shouldn't be fighting and standing up against. I mean, we should be standing up against things we hate, but it shouldn't be because we hate them. It should be because we're fighting for something we care about.
That's true.
And like,
I mean, I don't see any reason for Rey to be like, okay, I have these sacred texts and all. If I want to, I can go buy the book. I can go buy the book as it can get because she has the texts. Like, I would assume that lays out some type of order, the council, like that probably lays out a lot of things. But I see Rey, after she formed an attachment to Kylo, maybe a little bit with Finn, who knows if that was really a thing. But like, I don't think she sees like, we don't have to cut off every connection. Why would we? Like, just because we're Jedi and we can, we're fighting against, these people, why do we have to cut off love? Why do we have to cut off all these great things of life,
Well, there's also this idea that, like, the idea that I generally like is that they don't limit it to people who are force sensitive in terms of teachings. They teach as many people as they can, everything, to make it as well known throughout the galaxy as they can. This is something you should know about and something that you should embrace. This is it's what things could be like. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if Rey and Finn don't open so much a Jedi temple, but both of them coming from the background they have, what if they open something like an orphanage? Like displaced kids throughout the galaxy, they raise them up on fucking Endor or whatever with Finn and Janna just kind of hanging out, the place where the Empire fell. What better place to raise back up, raise anew? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. I think it'd be a fun little idea.
I'd say what could be even more successful is the birth of like the Force as a religion.
Yeah.
Like a literal, like, we're just going to worship the Force. It's obviously here. They have definitive proof. I'd say that, yeah, I don't need more than that. If I saw Jesus walk on water, turn water to wine, cure blindness in front, like if I saw that dude do that stuff, there's no way I'm going to be like, nah, this ain't really it. Like, I'm going to be like, oh my God, like, I am literally in the presence of a God.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good way of establishing a super long timeline of, Star Wars.
It's interesting to think about. Is there the potentiality if Rey were to give the seeds to the entire galaxy? Like, hey, become familiar with this. This is a real thing. Do you think there's a potentiality down the line that Force sensitives are eventually worshipped?
It would make sense.
It would make sense.
It's kind of like a divine intervention.
There would have to be few of them. You know what I'm saying? It couldn't be like there's thousands of Jedi.
There's no way they go with it could be anyone. They cannot do that. Like, I feel like that's what they want to go with, is that it could be anybody. If you just hone in and you learn and you through the Force.
I'm with you.
I think that's what they want to go through, but I don't know. I don't really think that works. It just doesn't make sense. Because at the end of the day, some people's lives are just not that important on the grand scheme of things. It's just how it is. Some people are going to be born and, they're like not going to do anything. It's just how it is.
Well, what if like giving them the opportunity like that's
true.
That is the rebirth of the galaxy. Like a fucking renaissance for the entire galaxy. What if that's what we're looking at post episode 9? Like,
I guess there's no way they make the decision that anyone could be Force sensitive if they try hard enough. I just don't think they can.
I'm with you there. I think there's like you do have to have an inclination, like, biologically. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's something you were born with that. Like, that's why midichlorians made sense to me. However, I don't want that to be like, I don't want it to be like, if you have the most midichlorians, then you're automatically like, I think it makes sense for like Han Solo to have a midichlorian count. It's just low. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it could be like, when we think of someone as Force sensitive, we think Luke, Kylo. We think of people who can move stuff with their minds.
Yeah.
But maybe maybe any being can become more spiritual with the Force, and maybe not necessarily move things, not get Jedi powers,
but engage
or like they gain intuition and, that side of the Force.
I'm with you. I like that. They gain insight.
Yeah, like they don't know how to swing a lightsaber. They don't know how to pick up a rock with their head, but they can be like, I see this beautiful thing that involves everything. It's life. It's how it is. Like, maybe. If that's the case,
then we're looking, if that's like what Rey were to do, which I think would be the ideal thing, is to inform people on what's going on and like what actually is happening. And if people are taught how to engage with the Force in any of their own ways. Obviously, there are people who, like, just like there are now, we have religions and stuff, and there are plenty of people who do not believe in every religion, so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? There would still be people who are like, this is a whole bunch of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe they just don't have, maybe it is a faith thing. Maybe it is a little bit like you have to believe in the Force a little bit for you to engage with it.
That makes sense. That would make sense.
It has to be it has to operate on faith a little bit.
Maybe Han is the embodiment of that. Maybe a true non-believer going into a believer, like a full believer, obviously, because he saw Luke
and his wife,
and Vader, and everyone around him. Yeah, everyone around him. Like, I don't know. I could be a really cool direction that they could go. Obviously, they can go anywhere though. Like, Grogu could die. Kylo could have killed Grogu. He could have died in the temple. Like, he could be dead. I don't. Your argument of it's for the kids at the end of the day makes me believe that they won't kill the cute little green guy. But you never know.
You never know. But nevertheless, Din Djarin for me does beat 3PO.
One last thing for 3PO. And this is an IRL example of why 3PO should lose. The Royals game, back when COVID was more of a thing, we couldn't go outside yet. They're starting to put real people in there now, but there were cardboard cutouts behind the plate and stuff like that, and in seats. And you could pay to have your cardboard cutout there, but sometimes the Royals place some characters in pop culture or something like that in the seats, some days. There was 3PO, R2, and Chewie, I believe. There were those 3 cardboard cutouts, and they were right behind home plate, so they were on TV the whole time. And purposely, 3PO, no one was around him. His seat, and no one was around him, like a whole radius of seats. And then you saw people sit. Like,
that's funny.
Even R2 and Chewie are off to the side.
Was a Star Wars fan.
Yes. Oh, totally. And I looked at it and I asked, like, I said to my family, I'm like, do you get it? You know, or I'm like, do you see anything funny with the seating right now? And they're like, no, why? Like, they didn't put the 2 and 2 together. And I'm like,
it's because 3PO's an annoying piece of shit.
I'm like, he's annoying. No one wants to sit around him there. And then once I told them, they're like, oh my God, that is so smart. And then we checked the Royals Twitter and they had a picture of it or something like that with a caption of like, you know, beep, 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 you know, and then Chewie agrees, you know, like asterisk Chewie agrees. And then, you know, showing them sitting far away. So I'm glad that it was done on purpose and in real life and in the city I live. So I just wanted to say that.
That's outstanding.
This is why Din wins. No one wants to sit next to 3PO at a ball game, okay?
On this side of the bracket, next round, for the Sweet 16, we will have Darth Vader versus Count Dooku, Yoda versus Lando Calrissian, Leia Organa versus Ahsoka Tano, and Han Solo versus Din Djarin.
Ooh.
That one's tough for me.
Ooh.
Well, we'll get to it.
Holy crap.
For now, let's move on to the other side of the bracket.
Bada bing, bada boom.
We still got half of this bracket left. So we'll try and rein it in a little bit. We've got Luke Skywalker versus Bo-Katan. I don't think we need to talk much. Luke Skywalker.
We've already talked about Luke for at least 30 minutes of time. About Luke alone, and we haven't even gotten. Now we're at his matchup.
Yeah,
his name has come up in almost every matchup, and it just makes sense. Yeah, dude's moving on.
Oh, and we talked about Bo-Katan a lot last week. If you want to hear our thoughts on Bo-Katan, go listen to the Round of 64. And if you want
another ginger,
I listened to our Patreon episode yesterday, and like the characters we chose to talk about were so fascinating to me. Like, because I mean, I was a little, but we talked like Maz Kanata first, then DJ, the code breaker from The Last Jedi. Then we talked Mundi for a while, the Jedi Master, and Plo Koon and Kit Fisto. Like we weren't talking about like Luke Skywalker and Anakin and Han and Leia like too extensively. We were like, let's dive into these fucking guys.
I think we just agreed on an unwritten rule that like, okay, this person's obviously losing. Let's give him the spotlight. Exactly. And let's dump every piece of knowledge I know about that person just right here. And exactly. I think that's just what we did.
There's just a whole lot of great content on a whole lot of characters that aren't even in the bracket.
That's true.
Like Hux and Phasma and fucking God, there was more here. Let me go check.
There's a lot of characters that we talked about.
Let's see. We also got like Bodhi Rook. We talked about Rogue One for like 40 minutes on that podcast.
That's true.
Jana, Babu Frick, the Client. We even focused on the Client for a while from The Mandalorian. Like Dryden Voss. Like we really got into it there. So if you want to go listen to that, patreon.com/KoroBloom. Good news. We gained a patron post the big scoop. One patron though. One guy, I don't know who he is. He followed us on Twitter and then joined the Patreon shortly after. So I know he listened after following and then was like, I want more of this. So I'm encouraged by that. Shout out that guy. Thank you.
Thank you, that guy.
Thank you, that guy. But yeah, Luke Skywalker beats Bo-Katan. Next, we've got Maul versus Kylo Ren.
This one's actually kind of interesting.
This one's different. I could see it going either way quite easily, actually. I'd understand an argument for Maul and I'd understand an argument for Kylo. However, I like the upset here. I like Kylo over Maul. We've talked a lot about Kylo this episode, and had we not, I don't know that I would have came to this conclusion. You know? But Maul's arc in the Clone Wars and his death in Rebels, it's a very, very good arc. Like,
let me say this. Whenever I said Vader and Sky City and Han had the instinct to shoot him instantly, when all the neurons fired that this guy's evil, Maul is even more evil looking than Vader.
Yeah.
You look at Maul and you know he's not on your side.
100%.
before you even look at him, actually, you could probably sense. Yeah, a non-force sensitive being can probably sense that this guy's in the room and that he's already evil. He's so evil that he walks in the room and evil is sensed. And imagine you're making this new prequel trilogy. You're trying to stand up to the original movies. You have to create this badass villain, and you just execute it so perfectly. And you give him the coolest fighting style. You give him a double-sided lightsaber, which we've never seen before, which is just cool. He's taking on 2 Jedi at once.
I don't want to take away from Maul one bit. I love Maul. Great, phenomenal character. But we've talked about Kylo. We've talked about how he probably is the character from the sequel trilogy, if you're going to take one. And I think his arc, if we're going to get down to it, given the people it involves outside of him, is probably a little more compelling. I like the idea that Maul's life is spent trying to get revenge on Ben Kenobi. He was the one who could sense that the fall of the Republic was coming and that Anakin Skywalker was at the center of it all. Like, if people would have just listened to Maul, shit would have been fine, which is funny. He offers to take Ahsoka under his wing.
If that would have happened, a little bit.
If that would have happened, who knows? Maul really takes a liking to Ezra Bridger in the Rebels series and kind of like treats him as a little apprentice.
I love Maul in Savage Opress. Like, you just look at Savage and you're like, that dude just looks so much more powerful, but then you just get the real sense of how strong Maul is. Like even though Maul doesn't look that big, like Maul is still like, I could take you out at any moment. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You realize I'm just that much better than you. And I don't know. But
can
Kylo,
you hear that vacuum by chance? No? Okay,
no.
Cool. I just want to make sure. There's a vacuum above me. There's a vacuum above me, and I can barely hear myself. But if you can you hear it now?
It's very faint. It's very
that's encouraging.
Not noticeable. I think you think it's a lot more noticeable than it is. It's
okay,
like
cool.
You have to listen to
make sure. I just wanted to make sure.
But Kylo, like, the only thing that's holding me back is how they went out with him and how him, like, I agree that Rey should have lived. If one of them had to die, I'm fine with Kylo being the one that dies. But, like, I don't think they needed to die. I don't think one of them needed to die. I just think they wanted to introduce Force healing into the universe for some reason. You know, they did it with Grogu. The episode, you know, the night before the movie came out, right? Wasn't it like the literal
night
night
before? Yeah.
So I mean, like, I don't know if they wanted Force healing to be into it, and then they wrote that around that, or if they wanted Kylo to die and then they wrote it around. I don't know. But Kylo's arc is very cool. I believe it carries the sequels. His arc, the dyad and his arc carry the sequels. I mean, obviously when he goes Ben Solo, the shrug, awesome scene.
It's a shame that he got one line as Ben Solo and it was ow.
Yeah. I just don't know though. I don't know if I can sleep at night saying that Kylo beats out Maul is the thing.
I'm with you. I get it. I remember coming out of The Rise of Skywalker and finishing the sequel trilogy, nearly convinced this guy was my favorite. You know, like, ever.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just because of how much I enjoyed that scene of him coming back to the light. And the strength of that scene alone, for me, the only scene that rivals it with Maul is his death scene with Obi-Wan on Tatooine.
It's a beautiful scene.
Oh, it's a beautiful scene.
I mean, the same movements, the literal same. Obi-Wan's going through the...
Exactly.
Oh, no. Literally, the thought that went into that scene alone where Obi-Wan started out as Obi-Wan, went to Qui-Gon, Maul instinctually did what he would do against Qui-Gon, or what he did against Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan realizing what he was going to do, and then using that to kill him.
He's been thinking about that moment for fucking 20 years at that point. The moment he watched his master die. He knows exactly what Maul did. He watched it 10,000 times over in his head, and he knew as soon as he struck that pose exactly what he would do. He would go for that hit in the face with the lightsaber, and he just sawed right through that shit.
I don't know, man. I
gave it to Maul on the bracket. I already clicked it.
It's you convinced me. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, this is close though. This is close. It's not that far off. Like, Kylo could win.
I feel bad because this was the last chance for a sequel trilogy character to make it past the round of 32.
Think about it though. Think about it. Whoever wins is going up against Luke next. They're both going to die regardless. So we shouldn't feel as bad.
But however,
rest in peace to the sequel.
The sequel trilogy is done at this point. The only characters who still have a chance, who appeared in the sequel trilogy but weren't the sequel trilogy, are Palpatine, R2-D2, Chewbacca. That's it.
Hey,
and they're all original trilogy.
I would put Grogu in the sequel group. Grogu could come out on top. We don't know.
I'm with it. I'm just gonna say right now, I think Grogu's got a pretty good looking path at the moment to at least the Elite Eight.
He's got a good path. He's got a good path.
He's got a good path. But for the Elite Eight, for the Sweet 16, my apologies. We will be seeing Luke Skywalker face Maul. Next matchup, we've got a fun one. Palpatine versus Qui-Gon Jinn. And now, Qui-Gon, phenomenal character. I want more of Qui-Gon in any capacity we can get. Potentially like a young Qui-Gon learning from Dooku. That'd be cool. Watching Dooku's fall to the dark side and Qui-Gon having to go through that. That'd be dope. However, we do just have the Phantom Menace when it comes for Qui-Gon, and we've got 5 or 6 movies with Palpatine in it. You know what I'm saying? And Palpatine's the puppet master of it all.
Without Palpatine, you don't have Star Wars. It is as simple as that. I mean, I guess a villain could replace him, but one of the greatest villains in all of cinema history.
And also one of the most underrated. Because here's the thing.
True. Vader takes the spotlight of Palpatine.
And he's not the big bad, which is fascinating. The fact that the most iconic villain in Star Wars is not the most powerful one.
That's true. Yeah.
It's
if you go on the street and you say, who is the main villain of Star Wars, Darth Vader is the 99% answer.
Yeah, people who are Star Wars fans will say Palpatine, but those who aren't familiar with Star Wars in a complete capacity will say Vader.
I would still say many deep Star Wars fans would still say Vader. It's just instinctual. It's how iconic the character is. It's just how it is. It's just crazy that in a universe where the most powerful villain still isn't looked at as the most powerful villain is. It is.
He lives in the shadows. It's the entire thing.
That's true.
He lives in the shadows. In the shadows, always. But yeah, Palpatine over Qui-Gon there. It has to be it.
Yeah, dude just plays chess. I mean, even if it comes down to the 1v1, Palpatine takes it. That dude can do a 580 horizontally, or like a 1080. I don't know how many twists that boy did.
Have you heard George Lucas say there's only a few people who could kill Palpatine, and it was Mace Windu and Anakin Skywalker? Was Qui-Gon a part of that group?
For some reason, I think so. Which
is interesting considering he got his ass kicked by Maul. Yeah. But I guess he probably wasn't, given that fact. But, like, it is interesting to think about. But nevertheless, Palpatine goes out on top versus Qui-Gon Jinn. Next matchup.
Are the boys.
The boys!
These are the children.
The children. We've got R2-D2 versus Grogu.
This matchup right here, I think, is Grogu's hardest matchup until he were to reach Luke.
Yeah. I agree.
Would he reach Luke? Yes, he would reach Luke.
He would reach Luke.
So this one is the closest. Because if he wins this, he's winning the next one.
I think too, yeah. Just because of our love for the guy.
Yeah.
He's just too adorable. Here's the thing, is that I've said this before, no character has done what Grogu has done in terms of, like, breaking through to pop culture on the whole. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like he is known. Not his name Grogu, but Baby Yoda is known, you know?
There's only few characters that people know without seeing Star Wars. If you walk up to someone that's never seen Star Wars, they know Vader, they know Grogu.
They know, but here's the thing. They probably know R2-D2.
That's true. I don't even know if I put Luke there, which is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
But, like, I'm trying to think a non-Star Wars.
Yoda's another one. Chewbacca, probably. It's the ones that aren't human.
That's true.
The ones that aren't human are the ones that are going to get recognized.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
R2 is responsible for so much in this universe. Dude, like, plans to Luke, him, all him. He had the last missing piece.
He did.
To Luke. He saw Anakin. You know, he saw from Anakin to Luke. Like, dude, R2's been in some good presents.
Bro, R2-D2, isn't it like, he's like originally from Naboo. He was just on a Naboo starfighter with Padme.
Yeah.
And they were like, let's get it, guys. All the R2 units activate, and they all, like, rolled out, and, like, that's just where it started. And Padme took a liking to R2, and that's her droid now. So, like, it's fascinating. Like, originally not Anakin's, originally Padme's, which is another really cool aspect when you get to the original trilogy, that you've got droid created by Anakin and a droid whose originally was Padme, and they're together throughout the whole sequel, throughout the original trilogy and the rest of it, which is just true. It's cool.
I mean, boy has done a lot. Think about it. From the very second they crash landed, R2 knew where to go. He was set, and 3PO was like, nah, dude, nah. I'm going this way. You have fun. And then 3PO was like, you know what? This dude just has to be right somehow. I don't know. I mean, I trust the Astro droid.
I love, and like when I think back to A New Hope, Episode 4, it's like, dude, you don't see Luke Skywalker till like the 37-minute mark in that movie. You follow 3PO and R2-D2 for a while.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is, it's really like, and that's what solidifies them as like that's what makes them Star Wars, is the fact that they are the first thing you get familiar with. You know what I'm saying?
And Vader. That's the beginning of the movie. You see Leia tell R2 something, ship him off in an escape pod, and then there we go. I mean, there we are. Like, we saw Vader and Leia. We saw Vader and Leia, but it was just like, all right, take her away. You know, and then there we go. Like, I mean, really, 3PO and R2 are the first two characters you're really introduced to. Like, that you really get an introduction to. Yeah.
They're your introduction to the universe at large. It's kind of that, it's that brand new feeling, you know? Imagine in 1977 going to the theater, watching this movie, and you're like, I'm following a robot for the first 30 minutes of this fucking movie. It's like, it's kind of a letting you know this is not what you've seen before.
That's true. I mean, I just watched 2001: A Space Odyssey for the first time a week ago, and the first 30 or like 40 minutes are of monkeys. It's just apes dancing around this weird alien technology. It's just monkeys. And I'm like, I was watching it. May have been a little intoxicated at the time. I really was like, am I watching 2001: A Space Odyssey, or am I watching some bootleg? Like, what am I watching? Like, did they link the wrong movie? So I fast forward. I go to the 40-minute mark. And we're just now in space in 40 minutes. And I'm like, they really have these monkeys for 35 minutes of the goddamn movie. I could not imagine seeing a trailer or a poster for 2001: A Space Odyssey in a theater and being like, oh, I got to see this opening night. I go, and for 40 minutes, I don't see a human face.
2001: A Space Odyssey is fascinating. Stanley Kubrick is just fucking crazy. The guy who directed and wrote that movie.
Dude was on acid, and you cannot convince me otherwise. I've only seen that movie one time. He's on acid. I don't care. There's only one thing I know in the universe, and that is it.
Stanley Kubrick did LSD. But so let's make a decision here. R2-D2 or Grogu, who makes it through?
You know what? Let's change the rules for this one. Instead of going off the seed, let's think about the 1v1 right now. Let's think about if they were to 1v1 right now, who would win?
R2-D2 beats that ass. Are you kidding?
Think? You
no.
think?
No. I think R2-D2 gives him a little more of a fight than you think, but I think Grogu ultimately uses the Force and just like knocks him down, and then R2-D2 can't get up. That's just it.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, having the Force is really just OP.
It is. And you know what? I'm going to go with Grogu. It's just that I've loved R2-D2 all my life, you know, like since I was beginning of my Star Wars fandom. R2-D2's been there if you've been a fucking fan since your childhood. That's like one of the big names. However, like I said for Din, getting introduced to Grogu was the best moment in modern Star Wars for me, besides Luke Skywalker showing up in the finale of the second season.
True.
That introduction alone, it was enough and exciting enough for me to go, oh fuck, I'm about to fall in love with Star Wars. Because that was really the beginning of when my fandom began growing even deeper, is when The Mandalorian came.
That's true. Man. I mean, we're going to look back, you know, in our deathbed and be like, Grogu carried Star Wars for probably 50 years.
Exactly.
He's going to be carrying Star Wars for so long.
He really will be. Excited. He's the new Yoda. He's the new Yoda. And the fact that, like, there's always got to be this figure. There's always got to be this figure. I love it. True. I love it. But for me, Grogu takes it over R2. That's just the way it is. Which means next round we'll have Luke Skywalker versus Maul and Emperor Palpatine versus Grogu.
Looking like we're getting a Luke v. Grogu situation. I won't, necessarily say where I'm at, but maybe that's where I'm at.
Well, here's the thing, is that I'm fascinated that Palpatine was the 4 seed here, because I don't think it mattered who won R2-D2 versus Grogu. I think they were beating Palpatine. For my money, anyway.
That's true.
For my money.
That's true. This is the exciting part of the bracket right here.
This is where we're coming down to it. Coming down to it. We've got Anakin Skywalker versus Jango Fett. We've talked about Jango Fett a whole bunch over the last couple weeks. Even on the Bad Batch podcast on the Patreon version, I talked about Jango Fett for a while in the introduction. Cool character, but fuck, man, you're not Anakin Skywalker. We talked about Anakin at the very beginning of this podcast for like another 30 minutes or something like that. So it's Anakin. Anakin over Jango.
Yeah, there's nothing really to say even. I mean, this next matchup is just when your son is so much cooler than you. Like, think about it. You're the initial donor of DNA for one of the galaxy's largest armies of all time.
Yeah.
And then one of those clones turns out to be way fucking cooler than you. You're the original source. One of the millions of however many were created is way cooler than you. So,
it's true. And arguably a couple of them.
A couple of them. I'd say all the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch is probably cooler than Jango Fett.
And we'll get to another character, another clone here soon. That's pretty baller.
Pretty baller cool indeed.
But so Anakin over Jango. Next matchup, we got Boba Fett versus Padme Amidala.
Ooh,
this is tough.
This is really tough.
Because I mean, I love Boba Fett. However, Padme is just so important. Like, the importance of Padme to the Star Wars universe and her impact on Anakin Skywalker alone is a reason enough to take her over Boba Fett 100% for me.
And the effect that Padme Amidala has had across every man and probably every woman too, in the universe, is quite insane. Yeah. I mean, that's gotta lead into it.
It's gotta lead. But I have a question about Boba Fett.
Okay.
So,
does Boba Fett's badassery outweigh Padme's gorgeousness?
I'm not basing my assessment of Padme on her looks. I can't in good conscience push her through because she's hot. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I would be comfortable with pushing her through because she's hot, but I won't out of respect. I will take it out of the equation.
And as it stands, I have a kind of semi-related question to Boba Fett and Anakin Skywalker. Do you think Darth Vader hires Boba Fett because he reminds him of the clones?
Oh. Oh my God, he just wants a friend, dude.
He just wants Rex back, man.
Oh my God. Why is everything surrounding Vader so sad?
It's all so devastating.
Oh my God, that is so sad.
At post Book of Boba, I think Boba's an easy take here. But we haven't gotten that yet.
Honestly, though, in saying that, I think Boba just deserves to win even right now.
And you know what? I don't have beef with that.
Okay. Padme is an important ass character. Is she really a good character, though? Or is she just kind of there?
The thing for me, I think she is a genuinely good character. I think she time and time again stands up for what she believes in.
I guess her role as a senator is huge.
Huge. She is not taken by Palpatine's bullshit. Whenever he announces the First Galactic Empire, she's like, so this is how democracy dies, with thunderous fucking applause. Like, she is... I like her simply because of outside of Anakin, her belief system. I think she stands as a very, very strong symbol and a huge influence on Leia's future life. You know what I'm saying? Like whether she knows it or not, that's clearly where Leia got her political savvy. You know, it's from her mother. And Padme being the mom to Luke and Leia, we hadn't even mentioned that part. I mean, that's huge, and she goes way under the radar for that. You know, we always talk about how Anakin's their father, but we rarely talk about how Padme's their mom.
That's true. She rarely does get talked about. Like, I mean, she deserves more love. It's just hard because you're talking about a Darth Vader and a Luke Skywalker and a Leia. Like, you're putting them up with Jedi. You know, you don't really think of the senator, I guess, whenever you're putting them in Jedi terms.
And that's another fun thing too, is that like when you go back and you watch the original trilogy and you watch the prequel trilogy, there are a lot of parallels to Padme. I guess since the prequel trilogy came out after original trilogy, there's a lot of homages and parallels to the original trilogy between Padme and Luke and Padme and Leia. Like, that wasn't something George Lucas ignored, that connection. It's just that it's just one that wasn't emphasized.
I guess that makes sense because if their personalities were truly off of their father, Luke and Leia would not be who they are at all.
No, they were not.
They're not.
They are more like Padme than they are Anakin.
Oh, definitely. They're definitely the mama. Like, Luke's a mama's boy, Leia's a mama's girl. Like, yeah, that's just what it is. Like,
absolutely.
Isn't it okay? Also, I don't think this scene gets talked about enough. Whenever Vader has Leia right there in the Death Star, about to blow up Alderaan.
Mm.
Like, the tension. Does Leia know? That's the thing. Luke does not know who his dad is at all because he's been sheltered his whole life. But Leia's in this. Like, Leia's been in this fight. Do you think she's fighting Vader because she knows, like, hey, that's my dad?
I don't think she knows it's his dad. There is that scene in Return of the Jedi, however, where Luke tells her, "You are my sister and Vader is our father." And she says, she looks down in realization and is like, I know. I don't know how I know, but I know that I know.
Okay. So the Force. Okay. Obviously,
the Force comes into play there.
Obviously, the Force brought Luke and Leia together. That's just how it is.
Yeah, duh.
It's not like some dumb luck that these two lost siblings got together. Like,
not dumb luck that Leia sends R2-D2 down to Tatooine and R2-D2 is sold to Luke Skywalker.
Exactly. And it,
after another droid goes to shit and then he picks R2. Like, there's just all this shit that like had to go right for them.
So do you think before Luke finds out that Vader is his father, do you think Leia knew?
Here's my thing, is we don't know enough about how Bail Organa raised Leia. Did Bail ever tell her she's adopted? Her name is Leia Organa. Does she know that Bail and, I can't remember her mom's name, her adopted mom's name. Does she know they are not her birth parents? There's that part in Return of the Jedi where Luke asks if she can remember her mom. And she's like, only in flashes, I remember that she was beautiful, and stuff like that. And that she was sad. Doesn't she say she was sad?
Maybe? Bria.
I can't remember.
Bria is the
Bria Organa. Yeah. I wanted to say Beru, but I knew that was Luke's aunt.
Mm-hmm.
Bria Organa. I don't think Leia knew for sure Vader was her father. I wouldn't put it past her to have had an insight or an inkling to kind of be like, there's something very familiar about you. Like there's something like different about the rivalry I have with you than there is anyone else. You know what I'm saying? Like there's probably that tension there that doesn't get explored a lot because it just wasn't planned there,
Dude, like it's just crazy. Like, obviously when you're watching Star Wars for the first time, you don't know that. You don't know that Vader is holding, like, his hands are on the shoulders of his daughter. And he's holding his daughter captive, and
he also tortures his daughter.
Yeah,
with that droid.
Like, oh my gosh, that's just so. I wish. Oh my god, what I would do to see the original trilogy first. Actually see the movies as they came out. And then have the realization, like, oh my god.
I can't imagine what it was like to be in a theater when Darth Vader goes, "No, I am your father."
That has to be the biggest plot twist of all time.
It's such a big plot twist that I feel like it's one of, like, two things that all people are born knowing. You know what I'm saying?
I knew. Yes, without even watching Star Wars, I knew that somehow. As a dumb kid, I knew that.
It's because you've heard, like, the line,
yes.
"I am your father" is so iconic that it's like you're born knowing it. It's like,
and that's why everyone confuses it with no, or like, Luke, I am your father. Because no, I am your father doesn't give contextual sense.
Exactly.
Oh my god! Like, isn't that is insane?
It breached a level of pop culture normalcy that it's just like it's a thing everyone knows.
Common knowledge.
That Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's dad.
Wow.
And I mean, like, that is one thing that, like, the original trilogy probably felt a little robbed of, is the reveal that Leia was the daughter. It was, Luke's like, or Yoda's like, another there is. And, Luke's like, Yoda spoke of another. And Obi-Wan's like, yes, at birth, we separated you and your sister. Da, 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 da. He's like, Leia. And, like, that's it.
Was it Leia? Was it Rey?
Was it Rey? Yeah, see, there's all that speculation.
Was it Grogu?
Was it Grogu? Much to think about. See, because like now we know at this point, Yoda's not cut off from the Force. However, he is only aware of Leia.
That's true.
So, I mean, obviously at the time, it's
how
just
does he know? How do they know?
How does Yoda know?
Yeah.
That Leia's his sister?
Like, how did...
He was there when Padme gave birth.
Oh, wait, what am I doing? Okay, hold on.
Yoda and Obi-Wan helped Padme give birth.
Somehow I forgot the entire prequel trilogy. Literally, I just forgot the entire trilogy. Somehow.
For a second.
How does Yoda know that Luke and
Leia
are...
I went, what?
How does he know? Like, imagine if I'm like, how does Obi-Wan even know? Like, you know, like
Obi-Wan was holding Padme's hand,
who like helped give birth. You know,
holding Padme's hand as she said Luke and then Leia.
But you know what?
If you're here's the thing. I have one more thing about this topic, Ron. If you're gonna introduce someone to Star Wars and they know nothing, they do not know Vader is Luke's dad. They don't know any of that. Show them episodes 4 and 5, and then show them episode 3.
Oh,
let it linger. Let the idea, because like if they don't know anything, if Vader goes, Luke, no, I am your father, and then like there was a speculation going into Return of the Jedi when it came out in theaters. It was like, is Vader telling the truth? People didn't know.
Oh,
because that's speculation at the end of the movie.
They don't know.
Luke goes, it can't be. He's lying. Like that can't be the truth. And they like connect while like after the fact, and he's like, "No, you are my son." And it's like, that can't be the case, you know. And then you see him connect with Leia and stuff, and it like bridges that gap a little bit. Like, how does Leia sense Luke here?
So basically, if you've never seen Star Wars and you know nothing, it would be best to watch 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6.
Yes, because it also makes the possibility of Luke falling to the dark side more real if you watch Anakin fall to the dark side right before. Because you'll watch Anakin get dressed up in all black and slowly fall to the dark side, and then you open up with Luke force choking a Gamorrean guard, making him pass out, potentially killing him. We don't know what happened there. Dressed in all black, showing up and fucking shit up. So like,
because they don't even know that Anakin is Vader. They don't even know that. And
they don't know that.
Oh my god! Do you know how much more of an impactful that makes Mustafar? Like, if you're watching that scene, knowing or not knowing that Vader's about to be created right before your eyes, like, I hope. Okay,
well, there's the potentiality that if you're watching 4-5, you don't know shit. He says he's his father. And then you watch 3 after having seen Obi-Wan go, no, Darth Vader killed.
Wait, so you think it'd be best to go 4, 5, 3?
Well, no, 1, 2, 3. I mean, you see the full story of Anakin Skywalker there, but I mean, if you're trying to save time, I think you can get 3 and just get enough out of it. You know,
my question is, when I meet a woman one day, I either hope she knows everything about Star Wars or nothing at all. That's my hope, so that I can either go through it for the first time with someone, because that experience would be just cool. You know, it's either going to happen with my wife or my kids. Yeah. Because I would be the one who watches Star Wars with my kids for the first time.
Oh, 100%.
And I guess the question I'm asking you is, what order will you let your kids watch it in? Or what order are you going to make your kids watch it in?
Here's the thing, is that I have an opportunity to do this now with Emily.
Oh.
Emily doesn't know shit. Wow. Obviously, she knows Vader is Luke's father because she's heard that fucking line. However, if I show her the prequel trilogy, I've shown her the Phantom Menace, and she's gone, that's Luke's dad? Like, that is Luke's. So she's already kind of like, that can't be right then. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we'll eventually get to episode 3, and then I'll come back to 6 or 4, 5, and 6, because But generally, it's hard to keep her attention.
Mm.
If you're not
it's grown
hard.
Up, it is hard.
It's hard to get into.
It is
because
very hard.
You're coming in with all these preconceived notions of what you're about to watch, about how dorky and nerdy it is. So you're already like, if you didn't grow up watching it, you're programmed to kind of go, this is gonna suck. You know what I'm saying? And I can't blame her. I can't blame her for having a tough time getting into it. I don't even know if I'd like it a whole lot if I didn't grow up watching it.
Maybe reading the books first.
Maybe.
Can you imagine reading that line of just Anakin killing Dooku and then watching the movie and be like, oh my God, like, I appreciate this moment so much more. Like,
God,
I don't know.
However, let's return here.
Padme. I've been looking at it. I want Padme to go through just because she doesn't deserve the respect that she does, that she, is given. She deserves more.
She deserves more. She deserves far more.
Much more. She is, without Padme, no Star Wars, no babies to be born.
No Star Wars without Padme. And so, next round, we'll have Anakin Skywalker facing off with Padme Amidala.
And I think what really happened, well, technically Padme killed, Palpatine killed Padme. Or I'm a firm believer in it. That
gotcha.
Palpatine, maybe she would have died, but Palpatine took Padme's life force, put it into Vader. That's how Vader stayed alive. Just makes sense. That's how he knows Padme's dead too. He even tells Vader, in your anger, you killed her.
So what I'm finding here, given that we are 2 hours and 15 minutes into this episode, is that while we thought these episodes would go faster as we got further, we're finding that our discussion only grows the harder the matchups are.
Which I think the reason why is because now we're not giving the small character the spotlight. We're giving the big character that we know a lot more of.
Yeah.
So, and we haven't even gotten to Obi-Wan. We're about to get to Obi-Wan.
We got Obi-Wan here versus Hera Syndulla. And this is easy. Obi-Wan beats Hera Syndulla 10 times out of 10.
The dad jokes alone.
And here's the thing. If you want to hear me talk about Hera, go listen to the Patreon exclusive. Go listen to the last episode. Because I oozed over Hera for a good 10 minutes. I love her character and stuff. However, she's not Obi-Wan Kenobi. I gave her the edge over Tarkin.
That's true.
That's old. Like
I can't wait to watch Rebels because I'm really interested in her character, and
she's the one throughout the show that you'll just like. She's the consistency. She is the solid one. She is the one who is not by any means ever going to let you down. Like other people fuck up, not Hera. Hera doesn't fuck up.
I like that.
She's a great character. However, she's going off against Obi-Wan Kenobi.
At least she got that first round. Beating Tarkin is no simple task.
No, it is not.
It's not a simple task at all. And she did upset Tarkin. So,
she was our first upset.
It's just hard to beat Obi-Wan. It's freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi. Is that Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Hello there.
Oh, man. Can you imagine?
I regret to inform you of the falling of the Jedi and the Republic.
Man.
God damn. If the Kenobi series opens with that message,
no. It's going to happen now. It's going to happen now.
I regret to inform you of the falling of the Jedi and the Republic. Do not return to the temple.
What if this time he's like crying though? Like
if they made it that more, they like made it that
you just heard a moat like just like devastating, just like do not return to the temple. We are lost. Like,
and that is something though, is that I'm excited to hear it in Ewan McGregor's voice because we have not heard it in Ewan McGregor's voice. We've heard it in James Arnold Taylor's voice, the voice of him in Clone Wars and in Rebels.
Or we see the message and him say it in a serious voice, but then when he hits, stop, he's just like
it breaks down.
Like fuck.
We've got to see a mopey Kenobi, right?
I mean, dude, his best friend, his brother,
and then they don't give enough shine to this. His relationship to Padme was nothing to scoff at. Him and Padme practically grew up together because of their experiences in the Phantom Menace.
Padme's dead. Freaking his brother's gone, his master's gone, Yoda's gone.
He's under the impression Ahsoka's gone.
Yoda's gone too. Everybody around him is gone, other than these two kids.
I like to think, though, there is the fact that there's literature and stuff that says Obi-Wan's outlook upon going to look after Luke Skywalker on Tatooine. And it's that he couldn't have thought of a better way to honor his late friend than to look after his child. So there is also the possibility that he finds solace, that he is just, I mean, obviously he's got to experience some fucking sadness and trauma. Like, that's just obvious. He went through Order 66. Like, it's going to happen. But I do like the idea that Luke is what brings him peace. It's what keeps him sane. It's him watching Luke grow is what keeps him grounded. It's what keeps him from losing it. You know?
Man.
Lovely.
This next one,
oh my God, hold on. I can't even fathom what the Kenobi series is going to look like when he sees Luke Skywalker as a 9-year-old kid working on a fucking speeder or something, like he saw Anakin in The Phantom Menace.
Oh my God. We're going to see so many parallels.
So many parallels, dude. Question. You think we catch a Chut Watto?
A Chut Watto?
Chut Watto?
Oh God.
Because he's not dead. He's not confirmed dead anyway. You think Obi-Wan Kenobi pays Watto a fucking visit?
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine?
It could happen.
It could happen.
That dude gave him the engine that ended up saving the universe, kind of.
Practically. And I mean, like, he was also in Attack of the Clones, you know, Anakin and Padme approach him when they're looking for his mother. And he's like, Anakin's like, Chut Watto. That's why I say it like that. He's like, Chut Watto. And he's like, Little Annie?
Okay. Honestly, just because of the meme resurgence of him now, I think Filoni is just going to find a way to put him in there.
Yeah.
Maybe we just hear it's at the end of an episode we hear, Obi? Or, just a...
Kenobi? And he's going to draw his lightsaber because he's going to be like, how is General Grievous alive again? He's going to be like, oh shit, it's just Watto.
If I had to bet, I would say probably not, but I sure hope so.
That'd be outstanding. I would love it.
He should be on this list.
Obi-Wan comes out over Harrison Della. We talk about Watto in our Patreon special.
That's true.
We considered him.
That's true.
We definitely considered him. He just didn't make this top 64 here. I was thinking about it last night, and I think we did miss a person who never even came up, a character who never even came up in the discussion for the seating.
Give me the trilogy, or is it a show? Original. Okay, hold on.
Original with some appearances in the Clone Wars.
Ooh.
Not prominent, but classic. Also not human. I'll give you that too.
Ooh. It's not Greedo, is it? I think we talked about Greedo.
We talked about Greedo. He's a bounty hunter. How about that?
Am I just blanking? Is it something?
He's not prominent. He only makes one appearance in Empire Strikes Back, and he was loved for it, and then he got a background a little bit in the Clone Wars. Bosk.
Bosk? Well, I don't recognize by name.
Lizard guy.
Bosk.
Yeah. You recognize Bosk.
Wait. Okay.
Have you played Battlefront 2?
Yeah. Bosk.
Yeah,
this dude.
You recognize Bosk.
Okay. Bosk. I know about him.
Yeah. Bosk, and like, there's a reason he didn't come up. He's not prominent. However, the fact that he's a character in Battlefront 2 is enough for me to propel, like, a character you can use in Battlefront 2 propels him high enough for me, because that makes him a big deal. A lot of people know Bosk because of that.
Oh, there's a character. What's his name? I can picture him. Imbo. Cad Bane.
Oh, Cad Bane.
That guy Bane kind of deserves to be on this list.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. We didn't give the Clone Wars quite the shake it deserved. I don't think. Cad Bane, Barriss Offee, the Jedi who accused Ahsoka or framed Ahsoka.
Oh, that was a good arc. That was a good arc. I liked it.
We discussed like Kit Fisto and Plo Koon, but a couple other Jedi that probably deserved to be discussed. There was Shaak Ti and Ayla, I can't remember how to pronounce her name. It's like Aayla or something like that. She's the blue Twi'lek, you know, the one who got shot down on Felucia. That's just brutal.
Rip. That
they just like keep firing on her, but you can't see it because of the flower and stuff. Like it's just there's a lot of characters from that we probably missed out a little bit, but not a big deal. Ultimately, doesn't affect the bracket too much. They probably would have mostly been eliminated early on. I just wanted to give them their shine a little bit. What's next? Last matchup of the day. We got Chewbacca versus Captain Rex. Now, on paper.
Is this the biggest upset of the bracket?
This might be the biggest upset of the bracket.
But
it's not going to be. Chewbacca wins, but...
Does he? I mean, okay.
I think simply because of his presence. The presence throughout the saga is astounding. The appearance in Revenge of the Sith, where he is friends with Yoda on Kashyyyk, Solo, where he meets Han Solo, the original trilogy, where we're like, he is the guy, he's one of the guys you love in the original trilogy. There's nothing to hate about Chewbacca. And then he's one of the best parts of the sequel trilogy, and let me tell you, his reaction to Han Solo dying when he just lets out that bellowing roar and then, no questions asked, shoots Kylo, a kid who he has watched grow up. Like, he's like rage overtook Chewbacca in that moment, and he tried to kill his nephew. Like, that's some intention. And then when Leia died, fuck. Never had I cried more in a Star Wars movie than when Chewbacca learned that Leia died. When he just starts breaking down, and the way Finn looked at him and went, immediately, as soon as they heard Leia died, Finn and Poe both checked on Chewie. They were like, he has officially lost everyone. That was it.
Whose story is sadder in Star Wars, Chewbacca or Obi-Wan? Like, they both lost everyone in their lives. Everyone. Obi-Wan had Luke, though. He had.
Well, there's also the thing that Chewbacca was like 220.
That's true.
At the time of Revenge of the Sith.
Chewie's an old boy.
He's an old dude. So it's like he's had a long life. It's been I got to imagine it's been relatively well. But I mean, we get Captain Rex for the Clone Wars, and I love me some Captain Rex. Love him to death. And the fact that he was able to resist Order 66 for even a second to tell Ahsoka to find fives is cool. I can't in good conscience advance Captain Rex over Chewbacca, though.
It's true.
However, this would be one, if you wanted to, and I would allow it, that I'd be like, let's make it more interesting and slide them past.
Let me tell you, I'm not going to be the one to let Captain Rex slide past Chewbacca or Chewbacca not go. I'm not going to be the one to do that. I think it's just...
It sounds like both of us have a consensus here. Chewbacca deserves
It's disrespectful to not put Chewbacca on. And the next matchup, Obi-Wan, Captain Rex doesn't...
has a better shake.
Exactly.
Chewbacca has a better shake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. That is the Sweet 16 solidified, I believe.
So the Sweet 16 we have here got Luke Skywalker versus Maul, Palpatine versus Grogu, Anakin versus Padme, Obi-Wan versus Chewbacca, Vader versus Dooku, Yoda versus Lando, Leia versus Ahsoka, and Han versus Din. Whew! Those are some fucking matchups, buddy. I can't think of like better matchups than Han versus Din, Leia versus Ahsoka. Like, that's just perfect. I mean, Anakin versus Padme, that's a fun one.
That is a fun
one to talk about.
That is a good one.
Palpatine and Grogu probably going to be a little tougher when we actually talk about it. I got to think.
It's true.
We'll have a tough time. We'll have a tough time separating with Palpatine here, given his influence. But nevertheless, we will see the Sweet 16 next week. Boy, round of 32. That was fucking fun and a lot and almost an hour longer than the round of 64.
That is
somehow.
Wow. Yeah, that is somehow half the matches. Double the talk? Not double.
Double the talk.
Double the talk?
Not double. Double the talk would have been 3 hours and 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, we're not there.
Not quite there. However, if you want to stick around, and we're gonna, if you still want to keep doing it, then this will surely pass like a good 4 hours of conversation at least today.
Oh, probably. I would say so.
I'd say so. But that concludes the round of 32. I have nothing else to say. That was a great conversation. A lot of conversations, all Star Wars, and I fucking loved it. Like that.
A little bit of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
A little bit. Just snuck it in there. But fuck, man. This has been the Penny Bloom podcast. I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, bud.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, of course. The round of 32 is concluded. I'm going to put it up on Twitter. Let y'all vote. Go follow at Penny Bloom Pod. Go follow on Instagram at Penny Bloom Podcast. And if you want some extra content, we've got a lot of it on patreon.com/CoraBloom, where we did the seeding for this tournament. We have an extra hour and 40 minutes of content on a Bad Batch episode, an extra 50 minutes on another, an extra 45 minutes on another. So there's just like a whole bunch of content there for you. And then the 3-hour preparation for this, which we'll be doing again for Marvel at some point, and that'll be where the prep is, patreon.com/CoraBloom. So be ready. Be fucking ready. All I got to say.
Lots coming up.
Peace, love, and bloom. And always praise Keanu Reeves.